Like, this is called the Pesky Report. Like,
welcome back to the Pesky Report. This is
intro worked.
5. Yeah, that is true. Did not work last week. It worked this week. Episode 578 of the Pesky Report, brought to you by Beyond the Monster. And as always, your minor league show is brought to you by TJ Stats, advanced MLB stats and tools, including pitcher summaries, prospect rankings, and live pitch data. Head on over to tjstats.ca. That's tjstats.ca, not .com. It's .ca. And use code PESKY, PESKY, for 25% off your first month. So, with that, we've got a decent amount to talk about this week. We're going to dive straight into it, and we're going to start with our favorite subject, our favorite topic on the show, our favorite person to talk about on the show this year, and that's Franklin Arias. We're going to be starting in Portland this week. Last week we did a lot of hopping around. We're going to try to keep it a little bit more level by level this week, but Franklin Arias had another really good week. 9 for 21 with a triple, 3 homers, 6 RBIs, just 2 strikeouts. He did also walk once. Overall for the week, the slash line was 429, 435, 952 for a 1387 OPS. Obviously, that's just kind of the box score numbers, but it was still a very impressive week for Arias. I'll hand it over to you, Hunter. What are your thoughts on this week from Arias, and then also to just the entire season we've seen from him, how impressive he's been?
Yeah, I think it was a incredibly important week for Franklin Arias for a couple reasons. One, again, not that there was like some big slump, but it was one of those, like, he had kind of gotten down to like that 333 range, and he had kind of sat there for a while. And not that 9 for 21 is like, in like 7 for 21 is would have been 333. So it's not like he was incredibly far off from that, but that he is that right? Yeah, 7 for 21 is 333. Yeah, I can do math. I can do math. I graduated college. But it was a positive regression for that. It was more importantly, though, he had not hit a home run in the month of May. And he hit 3 this week, and he is now, at the time that he hit that third homer of the week, he had overtaken Wilson Contreras and Yoferi Rodriguez for the organizational home run lead. Since then, Wilson Contreras has hit another one to tie him for the organizational home run lead with 11. But so it is now Arias and Contreras. But like that, again, like this is a guy who last year hit 8 or 9 home runs. Like that is such a very clear point of emphasis. We've talked about it before. He added weight, he added muscle in the offseason. He hit a triple this week in the bottom of the 10th inning to tie a game. He has a walk-off home run this year. He might have 2 walk-off home runs this year. Now I'm blanking on that. But he had a home run in the bottom of the 9th to tie a game. He had a home run in the top of the 9th to tie a game. He's had a home run in the top of the 9th to give them a lead. He's had home runs to tie games in the bottom of the 9th. He's had home runs in the top of 9th innings to tie games. Like he's had pinch hit home runs. So like the triple in the bottom of the 10th, it's just like it's another clutch hit in a long line of clutch hits from Franklin Arias. It was his first triple of the year. And then obviously, like I said, the 3 home runs, just again getting back to the power. Not that there was like any real concern. Like again, the 8 home runs had already like tied the total from last season for him. So it's not like there was this crazy, like, oh my God, it's been 20 days since he's hit a homer. What's wrong with him? But it was just like there was this lull, and it was like, okay, the power's kind of gone away a little bit, and the batting average is going down. And obviously, I don't think anyone was expecting him to hit 400 and continue the pace of Barry Bonds' 72 home run season all year.
No,
But,
they weren't.
But it was still a case of like the flame was burning so bright, and then things started to dwindle a little bit. So it was good to see this ridiculous week, kind of to remind everyone, especially with just the absolute poop show we saw from the Red Sox against the Twins the last couple days, for fans to get to see Franklin Arias doing Franklin Arias things again the last couple days was very fun. And he's got 29 RBIs, which is ridiculous. He's got 27 runs scored. He's hitting 346. He's got an OPS over 1,000. Like there's very few things you can point to with Franklin Arias and be like he had 21 at bats this week and struck out 2 times. He had more home runs than strikeouts this week. That's a bonkers stat.
Yeah, I will say for Arias, it is just the numbers are obscene, and we're getting to a point now where like what is there for Arias to do in Double-A that's gonna wow us anymore in some ways, right? In terms of like yeah, it's, don't get me wrong, this is extremely impressive. Like a week like this is still extremely impressive, but like, does this even crack top 5 of him for weeks this year? Like, and I don't mean that as trying to be like, oh, this week shouldn't be like crazy, but like it's almost not even. It feels in some ways where like a week like this from Arias isn't even as impressive as it was at the beginning of the year, because he's had so many weeks like this where it's like, oh my God, Franklin Arias. Oh my God, Franklin Arias. Oh my God. Like, it ends up like the numbers just over the course of the entire season, 154 plate appearances. He's hitting 346 with a 422 on base and a 662 slug. He's got an OPS over 1,000. He's got 11 homers. He's got a 173 weighted runs created plus, which, especially kind of when you go by level in the minor leagues, I do kind of like to look at weighted runs created plus just instead of like OPS, for example. Because like, yes, a 1,000 OPS is very impressive, but he's a 73% better hit. He's been hitting 73% better than average based on weighted runs created plus, which puts that 1,000 OPS into even like a greater perspective, right? He's only striking out 12% of the time, which, yeah, he was never a guy who struck out a ton. His strikeout rate has jumped up slightly this year. Not surprising going to Double-A, but it's like I said, it's still only 12%. So far this year, his walk rate has jumped up to just under 10%, which that is, it's not a big jump, but it is a very nice thing to see when he is facing the most advanced pitching he's seen in his entire career, right? This is, it's the start of the season in Double-A. A lot of the guys, the best pitchers in Double-A right now are going to be in Triple-A by the end of the year, and heck, they might even be in the big leagues by the end of the year. So for Arias to be doing it also too, only 20 years old, he still doesn't turn 21 until November. It's extremely impressive. I will just say, I will mention this. I don't mind Isaiah. Isaiah Kiner-Falefa is a great number 2 holder. He's a great number 2 holder because he's going to hold it for Franklin Arias. As soon as IKF goes, we know who's getting the number 2. I know he's wearing 50 right now. He also can't wear it in the big leagues. It's Cutter Crawford. Franklin, I will just say, just from my experience, and by experience I mean MLB The Show franchise, Franklin Arias looks really good wearing the number 2. I'll just mention that.
Now, did you have to change that? I'm assuming like you had to go in there and change that yourself.
Well, when I bumped Arias up to the big leagues in the middle of what was the 2027 season, just because I was doing it on MLB The Show 25. So what I'm calling the 27 season in real life is in that game is the 26 season, but basically it was next season in real life. And the reason is that as MLB The Show's player development kind of is doo-doo sometimes, for prospects especially. So I had to wait a little bit longer than I would have liked. But IKF was already long gone off the team, and I just kept the number 2 open because it would look really good on Franklin Arias. And what do you know? Franklin Arias became my second baseman because I had already moved Meyer short because I dumped Trevor Story's contract. Bye. Just because I wanted Meyer playing shortstop. And to me, it wouldn't make sense to move Meyer from second to short, then move him back to second, or then to move him to third for Arias. So I ended up with the extremely fun infield from at third, short, and second of Christian Campbell, Marcelo Meyer, and Franklin Arias. And I will just say Franklin Arias looked really, really good at second base wearing the number 2. It's actually kind of funny because I didn't notice it when I did it, but I've been making the Bogarts comp for so long for Arias of like a guy who before this year especially, it was like the hit tool's the best tool, but it's not like this isn't like an obscene hit tool. It's not Luis Arraez hit tool or anything, but it's a good it's so it's probably not elite, but it's still very good. And then everything else he does is good, but it's not like elite, right? There was no like elite tool. Yes, the hit tool was like kind of the carrying tool, but there was never like an elite tool for Arias. This year, obviously, it's starting to maybe change a little bit, especially since he's doing what he's doing in Double-A. But it's funny because I made those Bogarts comps, and obviously, it's a lot. I'm not saying like they're the exact same player, but just some of like this situational stuff. Like both start their age 20 seasons in Double-A, right? Arias, yes, he's shorter. He's not the same kind of player, but you look at the overall game, does almost everything. There's not like a thing where you look at Arias and goes, "Oh, he sucks," or maybe that tool could use some work. Everything's good, right? And it's only getting better, and that's kind of what's scary for Arias. And like I said, he looks real good wearing the number 2 in a Red Sox uniform. So everyone losing their mind on IKF. Just think maybe he's the holder of number 2 for now. They had to give it to someone so no one else would take it. And then when Franklin Arias is ready, bye-bye IKF. I don't know. It's the only reason I can think of why IKF is making $6 million a year right now. $6 million this year.
Just to hold the number?
Yeah, he's holding the number.
Just to hold the number.
Well, remember, like Bogarts leaves and then Justin Turner comes to the Red Sox.
You could also just not give the number until someone else deserves it.
So
you could also just do that.
That is true. But when it comes to the Red Sox, unless it's number 21, they just give out numbers.
They do.
At this point, I'm shocked they haven't given out 15. In all honesty. Like, legit shocked. Like,
that'll get retired. I think that'll get retired.
I think, like, oh no, it should. But, like, they haven't retired it yet. And, like I said, outside, they literally gave Brock Holt 26 just to then end up retiring Wade Boggs' number, and then he had to change numbers. Like, so in that sense, like,
they're a strange organization sometimes.
Yeah, strange sometimes. So you know what? The number holder strategy with IKF, maybe not the worst. And I mean, yeah, he kind of sucks, but like, he's a big leaguer. The beats having Jimbo, whatever, from God knows where, all I need is IKF to put down like one sacrifice bunt in the most useless sacrifice bunt situation ever, and it makes it worth it. But he's saving that number for Arias in my world.
That's fair.
Because frankly, legitimately, we are going to get to the point where we start asking, okay, when is the time for AAA?
And I will say that I got multiple messages today that, and I mean, it is 6:30, that there could be movement today. But then when I prodded a little bit, I was told medium-sized movement. So I'm going to assume it's not Franklin Arias, because to me, that's not medium. Franklin Arias moving up to AAA is not medium-sized movement. That would be large size movement.
Yeah.
my guess, because I think it was like the Play Tessie guys were saying that Brian Abraham was on Play Tessie or was on Brad Foe, that he was on something. And he said, I think he was on Baseball Isn't Boring. And he said like Andy Azakar might get promoted yesterday. And then I didn't hear he was promoted yet. So like maybe
Haven't
he's
heard
part
it
of
yet,
it. So like
so
maybe he'll get
maybe.
promoted.
I can see. Well, like I do wonder though, like what does media mean? Because in some ways, Andy Azakar to me bumping up to Greenville feels a little bit more than medium.
To us, but like,
well, to like the main, like the
like
mainstream.
I feel like if I tweeted out, Andy Azakar promoted to Greenville, I feel like there would be a lot of people like, fucking cool, dude. Like, all right, who's Andy Azakar? Like he's
That's true.
He's a
but
fringe top 10 Sox prospect.
Yeah,
like a lot of
that is true.
A lot of Red Sox fans would be like, who's that? Which there's nothing wrong with, I'm not like that's
no. Like, I mean, he's in
there's a
Salem,
lot of Red Sox
right?
fans who don't care about prospects, which again, there's nothing wrong with. You're a Red Sox,
or
fan,
they don't
like
care about them until they reach like AA.
Yeah, there's a lot of Red Sox fans who
only, Arias doing even more impressive.
Yeah,
but,
yeah. You watch the Red Sox, and then the Red Sox prospects who are top 100 prospects in baseball, and that's fine. So it's like, to me, I would consider like a big promotion being, Justin Gonzalez, Franklin Arias, Kyson Witherspoon, Anthony Ianson. Are those the only top 100 guys right now? Because Peyton Toley's in the majors and about to graduate, so I think those are the top 100 guys.
I guess I mean, I don't think it's not gonna happen right now, but like a Kyson Witherspoon, I would say would probably be a big development.
I thought I said him, didn't I?
Oh, did you? Well, I would say like Witherspoon and like Marcus Phillips. I think like both of them, just because
throw in Phillips because he was and maybe Godbout too, because he was like a second round pick last year.
Godbout's an interesting one because like he's I don't want to jump too much, but we'll talk about him when we get to Greenville, but he's someone to me that is, I mentioned it before, but if the pop starts coming in, that's an interesting one. I will say,
but so sorry, I do just want to say, so the point of me saying that, I just wanted to say it because you had mentioned Arias moving up to AAA. So the point of that was during the show, there is a chance we are talking about someone getting promoted because it's already 6:30 and there still hasn't been anything. So there's a chance during this show someone gets promoted. Was the point I wanted to make.
Yeah, I wonder if Brian Abraham, now that he knows that we record on Mondays at like 6:00. I wonder if he now is just gonna wait for us to like when he thinks we're done recording, just to be funny.
Well, I don't think he makes those calls, does he?
Well, that's true. I mean, I don't think he does, but here's my question: when you decide a player's getting like moved, like promoted, like who's the person who decides? Like what time it goes out to the public, because like it's very
like, are you saying like what time like the team announces it?
Yeah, or like what time like or like who decides to leak it like at a certain time, like, or like that's my thing, because it's like it's very much like when I look at it I'm like, okay, like you very much like why are we waiting till 6:30, 7:00, whatever on a Monday? Like,
yeah, because like, I get what you're saying.
Like the guys are literally like, I'm assuming the player, like, why are we also waiting? Like, I get Monday's the off day, but like, there's no reason the player can't find out on Sunday and we find out on like Monday morning to early afternoon.
Yeah, and it's like they have a game on Tuesday. Why are they finding out 20 hours beforehand that they're going instead of 48 hours beforehand? Yeah.
I don't know. That's just me. But I will say though, like we are gonna start seeing those questions really start to pop up of when's Arias going? And they already somewhat are, but like I think we're gonna see even a little bit bigger questions of like, okay, when is the time for Arias to move up to Worcester? Because we're gonna talk about Worcester at the end, but they are not having a ton of fun right now.
Yeah, and like when people were asking it at the start of the season, it was like, all right, well, he's had 75 plate appearances in Double A. Like but like he's up over 200 plate appearances in Double A now. Like to me, it's like you can easily ask that question and be realistic about it. Like now is a genuine time to be like, okay, it's still you could still argue that it's like early, but it's like he's done enough. So like it's
Yeah,
reasonable to be like
it's definitely
it's
reasonable.
time.
Well,
Like
I'll
it would
also
be one
too.
thing if he was hitting like fringe 300, like
Yeah,
302 with 6 homers but it's like the dude's hitting 350 with 11 homers. Like
yeah, it's
maybe
crazy.
it's time, man.
Well, here's the other interesting thing, and I kind of bump back to the Bogarts thing. Bogarts, when he was in Double A in 2013, obviously the minor leagues were different back then. There were more levels, but in Double A in 2013, Bogarts played 56 games. He had 259 plate appearances. He was hitting 311, 407, and 502 slug for a 909 OPS. He had a 149 weighted runs created plus, but he only had 6 homers. And that's when Bogarts got moved up to AAA, right? 56 games in. So Bogarts also had a 23-game stretch in Double A at the end of 2012. So overall, Bogarts had about what 350 plate appearances in Double A, approximately, right? Which is still don't get me wrong, that's still not that much. But we're getting at a point where with Arias where I think you maybe even see him get moved up before that 250 number that Bogarts hit in 2013. Because, like I said, I just read Bogarts' numbers, and as impressive as they are, Arias is doing even better, right? And you start to kind of look at it and you go, is it the 200 plate appearances clearance threshold? Or do they maybe want to see him play 50 games? But even then, that's still only another, 2 to 3 weeks? Right? I think in 3 weeks, we very much could be looking at an Arias promotion, and that puts us like smack dab in the middle of June, which I think at the beginning of this year, if you told anyone Franklin Arias might be looking at a mid-June promotion to AAA, I think some people would look at you and question you a little bit on that and be like, that feels very early. But like I said, we're not even in June, and we're starting to, okay, when's it going to happen? Because that's how absurd he's been. I will also mention, if it happens 3 weeks from today when we're recording, it would happen on June 15th. Arias' first game in Worcester would be on June 16th, which is also my birthday. So, dear Red Sox, do with that info what you want.
Birthday gift for you.
Yeah, do with that info what you want. That's all I'll say. Do with that what you want.
But then outside of Arias, Yohan Fran Garcia had a phenomenal week. 7 for 19, had a homer, had a walk-off single. He's been awesome. I feel like I kind of parrot the same thing every week, so I don't need to talk about him too much, but he's up to 250 on the season. He's got 16 RBIs. I'll continue to say I feel like he looks like he's in really good shape. Seems like he's having a ton of fun out there, which genuinely was something I was a tiny bit concerned about just because they traded his brother in the offseason. And I was just like, not that they were playing at the same level at this point, but it was just one of those things where it was like, I could see how that might take a little bit of joy out of you. Like, man, me and my brother were in the same system. And like maybe that kind of makes you be like, I don't want to be here anymore. But doesn't seem like that has bothered him too much. But yeah, 7 for 19 with a homer, walk-off single. Seems like he's back to full health, and I think we're just going to keep seeing the numbers climb. And yes, the strikeouts have still been a bit of an issue, but whenever he's not striking out, all of his outs seem to be very hard hit baseballs. So I just think he has some of the best raw power in the system, and there's like legitimate 30 home run pop in the bat, which is very awesome from the catching position and not something you see a lot from the catching position. But what's cool is technically, if you want to count like catchers, Portland's catchers have just like insane. Like they have him, they have Brooks Brandon, who didn't have a great week, but they have Raldis Martinez, they have Ronald Rosario who hit a homer this week. They have Nate Baez, who went 5 for 14 with another double this week. He's hitting a ton of doubles this year. So like technically, Portland is absolutely stacked with catchers at the moment, even though Brooks Brandon has not touched a catcher's mitt this year.
Yeah, I don't know if Brooks Brandon should be considered a catcher anymore. And that's not really a knock on him, but also, too, with the overall year he's had, I know not the best week this week, but with the overall year he's had this year, I feel like you might be a little hard-pressed to move him back to catcher.
I can't think of who it is, but there's someone who, if you go to their page, they still have them listed as something that they haven't played in like 5 years. And I can't think of who it is. And every time I go to their page, it makes me laugh. The annoying part is I'll like click on their page like tomorrow and I'll see it and I'll be like, oh yeah. But it's just like, it's one of those things where it's like you click on it and it still has them listed as like a shortstop. And I think it's Antonio Anderson. They have him listed as a shortstop. And I'm
that
like, dude,
sounds about right.
He got drafted as a shortstop, never played there, played third base for the 2 years. Now he's a first baseman. And they're like, yep, shortstop Antonio Anderson. Like, come on, man. What are we doing?
I mean,
it's
even
the laziest thing in the world.
Fraley Encarnacion still listed as a shortstop as well.
There you go. Yeah, it's absurd.
So I'll just reference in Greenville on MiLB.com. These are their infielders by position. First base, no one. Second base, no one. Third base, Jack Winay. Shortstop, Yoel Cespedes, Henry Godbout, Mason White, Fraley Encarnacion, Antonio Anderson. Literally, they have Winay listed as a third baseman, and everyone else is listed as a shortstop. But, that's also MiLB.com for you sometimes.
So one of the promotions just happened. Luis Andujar was promoted to single A.
That sounds about right.
According to Ari Alexander. Friend of the show, Ari Alexander.
Yeah, that does sound about right. What else is there? Go. Who else is moving? Let's go. Chop, chop. Chop, chop. Get him out. I would assume that means someone's probably going from Salem to Greenville, hopefully, in the Azkar. Because if Brian Abraham did say he was probably going to get promoted, it would feel very weird if he didn't. Maybe that's just me, but that's how I feel about it. I will bump back to Portland for a sec. If you look at what's your listed catcher position this week, outside of Brooks Brandon, who probably isn't ever catching again with how well he's hit this year.
Sorry, I can cut you off for 2 seconds. I do just because I have the tweet. It was from Boss Sports Gordo, May 24th. Red Sox farm director Brian Abraham told us on Baseball Isn't Boring radio show on WEI that there's a chance Andy Azekar could be promoted to Greenville today. So yeah, that was yesterday. So that was Sunday. So yeah, I'd imagine he's getting promoted today.
Yeah.
Man. If Brian Abraham's saying that on the radio,
it would feel
clearly is getting promoted.
Yeah, be very dumb not to. So that catching group in Portland, Ronald Rosario 3 for 8 this week, a double and a homer. Rodelis Martinez 2 for 4. Johan Frank Garcia obviously 7 for 19 with a homer, and then Nate Baez 5 for 14 with a double. All of them this week hit over 350, which is extremely impressive for a position that typically isn't, an offensive position. It's typically defense is the most important thing here, and whatever offense we can get is great. It's part of the reason that I think Patrick Bailey is such a great catcher, where literally he could go the entire season without getting a hit, and he's still valuable because of his defense. Unless you're the San Francisco Giants, because apparently, you know,
you just need to have a lineup around a player like that can actually hit.
Yes.
It's the issue
our
that the Red
offense is
Sox
in a
have,
slump.
where it's
Let's trade away the guy who should win the Platinum Glove every year, except for the fact it's a fan voted award.
I did not know that until last season, and that really upset me. I didn't
don't
know that was a fan voted award until last year.
Yeah,
that's dumb.
Yeah, it's extremely dumb. I feel like it wasn't always.
I can't imagine it was, because I feel like that shocked a lot of people when they found that out last year. Like, I feel like a lot of people were like, "Oh, that's fan voted."
Yeah, I'm actually looking that up right now. It's been fan voted since inception in 2011. Okay. What? How? Okay, now I'm intrigued. What kind of idiots have won this award? I'm sorry, not idiots.
Like, at least they make it where it has.
Are you trying to tell me that fans voted for Bryce Terang to win it in 2024?
I mean, you have to remember there was those weird 2 seasons where Royals fans all band together and voted for Royals players for the All-Star game, to the point that they had to change All-Star voting.
That is true.
Every Royals player was just in the All-Star game.
Also, well, if we want to talk about All-Star voting real quick for a millisecond, can we add some more stats to the ballot? Average home runs, RBIs, OPS. What are we doing? I'll use an example. It's now that I'm looking at the Rawlings, the Gold Glove, the Platinum Glove winners. Alex Gordon in 2014, right? I personally love some Alex Gordon because he was great defensively, but he was in a position at left field where everyone was like, home run, slugger, yeah. And just there he was playing elite defense. Was never the crazy, but he did have some good years with the bat, don't get me wrong. But he was always overlooked in some ways because he wasn't the 40 home run masher in left field that other teams had. And when you go to a fan vote, typically those guys get overlooked, especially when the stats on the MLB All-Star ballot average home runs, RBIs, OPS. That's all you get. Also, too, why the catching position is such a weird position now, because in the big leagues, because at the end of the day still is a defense first position, yet it kind of doesn't help the narrative when Cal Raleigh just goes and pops 50 plus homers, and it's oh look, we have a catcher who mashes. Why can't all our catchers do
look
that?
At him this season.
Well, that too, but still, it doesn't help the narrative of catchers just being defense first guys who don't bring much to the table offensively, and everyone's okay with that. When you have a guy go out and mash, catchers who hit are very limited and don't grow on trees. There's a reason why a lot of the good hitting catchers don't stay at catcher.
Yes, there's
a reason, and it's Brooks Brannon, right? For example, it's with how he's hitting, he's not going to get moved back to catcher.
Yeah, because they're we don't. Well, you're a good hitter. We don't want to ruin your legs.
Yeah, even some way, with Johan Fran, there's been a little bit of me, and I haven't said this here, but there's been a little bit of me, depending on how the bat is, how long do they keep him at catcher? Just because he's not the elite of the elite defensive catchers, which is nothing wrong with that, right? There's nothing wrong. But when you look at the big league team and you have a guy like Carlos Narvaez behind the plate, which he does bring some pop, but at the end of the day, he's a defense first guy. Where does it you look at a guy like Johan Fran, and when the bat's going for him, it is a little bit of okay. Now, what if there's a little bit of me that's well, what if he was just playing first base and didn't have to worry about catching and working with the pitching staff and all the other things that goes along with being a catcher? right? And obviously, I feel like that's probably a conversation a lot of teams have about offense first catchers. I mean, and this isn't a comparison at all, but like you look at AAA with like Ronaldo Hernandez and Jorge Alfaro catching. Like, there's only offense only gets you so far at the catching position. It's the defense that kind of is what keeps you around at the catcher position. So it is to me, it's very nice to see a week though when you do have, 4 catchers all play well. Like they all didn't play 10 games or whatever. Like Rosario and Martinez only played 2 games this week, right? But it's still nice to see. It's something that I feel like I don't know if we're going to see another point in this season where at the same level all of the catchers have good offensive weeks. It's rare.
Yeah.
It's one of those rare things. Anything else on the position player side?
Just 2 super quick notes. Marvin Alcantara 6 for 18 with a walk, or with a with a walk. That's not what I meant to say though. With a double and a steal, and then Nelly Taylor 4 for 16, 2 doubles, a walk, an RBI, 4 steals. Snapped his, I think it was a 13 game on base streak because he went 0 for 3. He did have a catcher's interference, but that does not count as anything. I think it just doesn't even count as like a plate appearance. So he snapped his on base streak. So the numbers still going up a little bit slowly but surely. So it's again good to see him trending in the right direction because the speed and the defense are there. He leads the team in steals. I think he's got like 13 on the season. So
I think he had 4 this week.
More positives from him.
He had 4 this week too. So just
the
thing too with someone like Nelly, where also a friend of the show, but like when he gets on base too, that speed plays even more, right?
Yeah.
With the 13 game on base streak that really shouldn't have ended because he did get on base. That baseball's weird sometimes. It just is. But like when he gets on base, it allows him to steal. And what's really interesting about this week was when you kind of look at it, he didn't get on base like an absurd amount, like 4 hits, 1 walk, and he still stole 4 bases. And 2 of those hits were doubles, right? Which, correct me if I'm wrong, but unless you're stealing home, you can only
have one option. Yeah, you only have one.
Yeah, you only steal third base. I don't think you're stealing home. So that is impressive. I was just double checking. He didn't get hit by a pitch either. So also if we want to include the catcher interference, bump it up to 6 times. He was on base, right? But the fact that he was on base 6 times, and 2 of those he was at second base, and he still stole 4 bases. Like it really does show a little like how game changing that speed can be. Plus, obviously, the defense is always going to be there, but that speed doesn't hurt in the outfield either. It definitely doesn't hurt. So when you kind of just like when the bat starts turning around for him, it's a really nice thing to see. And we also have to remember too, like for a guy like Nelly, where you kind of look at him as a high floor guy, right? I mean, because the defense is so absurd. In all honesty, he doesn't like. If we look at Nelly Taylor becoming like an MLB player one day in his development, he doesn't have to hit a ton. Like the defense and the speed plays, right? I mean, look at like end of the careers for like Kevin Kiermaier and Kevin Pillar, and which also FU Kevin Pillar. But like you look at the end of the career, even Jackie Bradley Jr. in his last stint with the Red Sox, right?
And
they were literally on the team.
Not that he had this, and he didn't have the speed.
No, which makes honestly, I think makes Jackie Bradley Jr. even more impressive.
Yes,
right. But like those guys were literally on the teams that they were on at the end of their career just because they could play defense. It was literally like, you know what? You might be a little bit you're going to be past the hill, but you can still play defense. And defense, like that for Nelly, that defense isn't going to go anywhere, especially in the outfield. Everyone talks about the game speeding up, but it doesn't do so as much for the outfielders. Like, it's definitely a thing in the infield, but in the outfield, not as much, right? I feel like it's much easier for outfield defense to translate. I mean, look at someone like Sadon, right? That he's going to be the Red Sox starting center fielder for basically as long as he's healthy, because he's under contract long term, which is a stealing contract, and he plays good defense and he runs well. Like I love Sadon, but Sadon could, like, he'll have his stretches where, you know, he'll have his cold stretches, and there'll be times when the offense is struggling, people are like, well, Sadon's not hitting, and it's like, guys, he's not here to hit. Whatever hitting you get from him is a plus. Not that he can't hit. Like, we've seen the hot stretches for him, and prolonged hot stretches at that, but a guy like that is there for defense. Look at Nelly Taylor, right? It's a little bit similar in the sense of the guy's path to the big leagues has defensive speed, and all he's going to do is hit. Not a ton, just a little bit, right? You see Nelly Taylor hits 260, 250, but is getting on base, you know, anywhere between 33 to 35% of the time, and is stealing bases when he's on base because of the speed, and is playing elite center field defense. He's going to eventually find his way to the big leagues, right? Like, the defense is just that good. So that's my little thing on Nelly Taylor. The defense is really good, and it's going to carry him a long way. And whatever you get from the bat, not saying he can't hit, because he can, and he's shown it in the past, but whatever you get from the bat is like the icing on top of the cake, right? That cake is the foundation. You know, you can't have a cupcake without the cake, right? You can't have a cake without the actual cake. Whatever comes from the bat is the frosting. It's the icing. It's whatever's on top of the cupcake, right? It's the extra that turns it from a cake to something that's actually that can still function as a cake to something that's really good, right? I don't know if that's the best analogy, but that's what I got. That's all I got. Pitching side of things, we did have something break a few minutes ago. Sort of, not movement wise, but Anthony Ianson was named the Eastern League Pitcher of the Week. And
what did he do, man? All he did was throw 5 hitless innings.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know about me, but like, I don't know. I don't know if this Anthony Ianson guy is that good, man. I don't know.
I don't know, man. He walked somebody, so I'm out on him.
Yeah, I'm out. He actually walked someone.
So I actually did a good job of protecting my peace this week, because I got in an argument last week. So I did a good job of this week. Like, I had a doctor's appointment. I had my cousin's graduation. I had one of my nephew's birthday party. So I was like, I was outside a lot. I was doing stuff. So I was like, I watched all the games, but like I wasn't on Twitter, like outside of like posting I would post the videos and then I would like not be on Twitter. So I didn't like see a ton of stuff, but I did see one guy like under one of my Anthony Ianson videos tweeted like, he's only throwing 94. That's not good enough. He's gonna be a bust. And I was like, this is why I'm not on Twitter this week. I was like, this is why I'm not doing it this week. It's like, you're complaining about a guy with a 0.61 ERA. This is why I'm not doing it this week, man. Insane.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, I don't know if this Anthony Ianson guy does all that, you know. He walked someone. Oh my gosh. He stinks. He walked 3 people. Oh my gosh. All I'll say is, if you actually are doubting Anthony Ianson at this point, go to like a doctor or something.
You actively want to be miserable if you're still doubting him, because it's
obscene. It's obscene.
Now, I don't want to like defend someone doubting him. The only argument I guess you could make is, if we're gonna say on the flip side of like, oh, it's only been 25 innings for Kyson Witherspoon, so you have to give him a chance. They could, I guess, make the inverse argument of he's only thrown 29 in a third innings, but it's also like he's thrown 29 in a third innings and he struck out 42 people. And and he's given up 2 runs. Like 2 runs in 29 and a third innings. He's given up like 5 hits. Like, what are we doing? He's
Yeah,
given up.
it's not. There's a level of dominance that even in a small sample size,
Yeah.
you disregard the small sample size.
That's a good way of putting it. Yeah.
Like it's. I'll put it like this. Like, I remember when Michael Chavis was called up to the big leagues, and it felt like he was hitting homers every day, which he wasn't, but it felt like it. And everyone started losing their minds. But then it was, oh, wait, it's a small sample size. And then, as the league does, figures him out, and he was never able to fully adjust to it. However, this is going to be a really weird. I remember when the Rangers traded for Corey Kluber, and a lot of people forget Emmanuel Clase was in that trade. And Clase didn't pitch in 20. I don't think he pitched in 2020. But he didn't pitch in 2020 for a PED suspension, which is kind of funny looking back at it.
Surely he hasn't gotten in trouble again since then, though, so it's fine.
Yeah, surely. But but in his 21 appearances in 2019 out of the bullpen, he had a 2.31 ERA, and he struck out 21 guys while only walking 6. And just in that, which it wasn't absurd, right? But I remember that 2019 stretch, him getting traded, and then the beginning of that 21 season, where for Cleveland he wasn't their closer. I think it was Karinchak might have been their closer. But I remember it with Clase because he started off the year, and it was like he still had a sub 1 ERA, or close to a sub 1 in June. And I remember people were like, okay, but is or even in May or whatever, and it was a sub 1 ERA around then, and it was okay, what are you doing? This, yeah, he looks like he's good, but so what? It's only however many innings, and it's the guy barely gives up any runs. What do you want from him? And I remember that Kluber trade when it happened. I'm you're trading a guy who looks to be a very, very, very good relief pitcher. He was 21 years old down the stretch in 2019 when he pitched as well as he did. And I remember looking at it, and I'm Corey Kluber and the Rangers are giving up this guy who might be their closer. Feels a little bit also too, especially knowing what happened after the fact with Corey Kluber with the Rangers. Yeah, a little bit lopsided of a trade with hindsight. Obviously, yeah, Clase, we know what happened with him. But I remember literally questioning, I forget if it was in 2022. I think it might have been before the 2022 season. And I'm when does Emmanuel Clase have a sub 1 ERA? When's it going to happen? And I remember the people who I told that to were he's not that good. Yeah, he had one good year. So what? And I'm the guy in his first full season had a 1.29 ERA in 69 innings. What do you want from it? What do you want? And I think in Ianson we're a little bit in this point where obviously it's a little bit of an apples to orange comparison, right? But with Ianson, and he's only had 29 innings to pitch. He can't just go pitch every day and pitch 5 innings every day. What more could you want from him in this small sample size? The dominance has been so absurd. You kind of throw the small sample size away and just go, you know what, small sample size or not, this is impressive. What more can you ask? And I think with Ianson, he's also now in Double-A. This is the jump that's supposed to be biggest in the minor leagues right now is supposed to be high A to Double-A, and Ianson just waltzes out there 5 hitless innings. It's nobody's business. Did he strike out 50 million people in this outing? No, he didn't. doesn't that make it a little bit more impressive that he still didn't give up any hits?
Yeah, like he didn't have his best stuff, and
he
also
wasn't just blowing people's doors off.
yeah,
either.
like, and Ian Cundall was at the game and was reporting that like he was not only working on but leaning on a new cutter that he's working on. So like he was just like, hey, I'm gonna try this new pitch out, and like no one could hit it. So like, what are we doing
It
here,
is
man?
it's obscene.
He's trying new pitches and not giving up hits. Like this is a new type of pitcher, man. I don't know what we're doing.
You know, it's bad when we mentioned this last week, but we mentioned I feel like every week. Every single year we say it's not gonna happen again.
Yep.
Can't happen again. And then someone always raises the ante. Like Roman Anthony's rise was fast, but it still took him like 2 years in the minor leagues to get to the big leagues, right? It still took him 2 full years. Okay.
You know, it's very funny. This isn't an indictment on him, obviously, because his numbers are absurd. This was Anthony Ionson's first career win because you have to get through 5 innings to get a win.
Yes.
So like he hasn't pitched through 5 innings a lot, and then also just when he has, he's gotten unlucky. Actually, was this his? This might have been his first. Okay, yeah, this was his. Okay, it was his second time getting through 5 innings.
Yeah.
So like this was only his second time ever having a chance to get a win. So
yeah, I will say. So then Christian Campbell comes around and flies through the system even faster than Roman Anthony does, right? And it's like, okay, but like Campbell got to AAA at the end of the year, but like, okay, cool, whatever. Peyton Tolley then comes around and decides in his first season in professional baseball to go all the way from Greenville to the big leagues, gets into the big leagues in, what was it, August?
Mm-hmm.
Like end of August. And then, oh yeah, I'm also going to be on the playoff roster for the Red Sox. Anthony Ionson has now gotten to AA quicker than Peyton Tolley, has done it in arguably a more impressive fashion. It can't keep happening every year, except every year it happens, and it gets more and more impressive every single year. Who's it going to be next year? It's unrealistic to believe someone's going to do it next year, but like.
But also, we said that last year and the year before.
We said that last year. No, we said that last year, and we said it the year before. We literally, heading into the 2024 season, we went, we can't expect a Roman Anthony type rise from anyone. And then Christian Campbell comes along. And then in the 2025, and we can't expect a Christian Campbell type rise from anyone. And then Peyton Tolley comes along. And then this year it's like, okay, we're not going to see a Roman Anthony type rise or a Christian Campbell type rise or a Peyton Tolley type rise. We just can't expect it out of anyone. And then Anthony Ionson comes along and just like, hey guys, I'm here. And also within all of this Tolley and Ionson stuff, bump back to Franklin Arias, his rise is not that far off the Roman Anthony rise.
Yeah.
It's absurd. It's absurd. It's not. This is the one thing you have to give the Red Sox credit for, as bad as the big league team is. The player development side of things is legitimately kicking ass. Legitimately. There is. You can have your gripes about the big league team. You can have your gripes about, oh, they've struggled in the past outside of recently developing homegrown pitching. I said outside recently. You could say, oh, well, Roman's hurt and Marcelo has had his struggles this year. They're also really young. That's expected. But, Christian Campbell expected. He's young. You're expected to have struggles in your development. It's not going to be all roses and sunshine. Unless your name is Peyton Tolley, apparently. I'm joking, because Tolley did have his struggles. People just overlook them because of how fast he overcame those struggles. Ionson's gonna have his struggles. At some point, they're going to come. But that doesn't mean what he's doing isn't impressive, and that doesn't mean that, we shouldn't, it doesn't mean that, like, we should just go, oh, well, he's eventually going to struggle, so, or, oh, he can't just keep this up.
Yeah.
No, like, let's enjoy this while we have it, but also, too, let's not put the expectations on Ianson that he has to, have hitless starts every time he goes out there. It's not reasonable. But we are getting to a point with Ianson where, like I said, we're not even getting to, we're at the point where the small sample size is, okay, so what? It is that obscene. It's that the dominance has been that absurd. Where, like, small sample size or not, you have to have talent to be able to have this kind of dominant stretch at any level of the minor leagues. Forget about between high A and then jumping up to double A and being just as good. And yeah, he's working on stuff and guys still can't hit him. Kind of funny.
And it was not just him this week. I mean, Portland's kind of been bonkers all year outside of, like, they've had a couple rough patches, but, like, John Holibet's outside of, we talked about it last week, outside of, like, 2 starts, he's been really good. This week, 6 innings, 5 hits, no runs, no walks, 6 strikeouts. Blake Wehunt, 5 innings, 4 hits, no runs, 1 walk, season high 11 strikeouts. That was ridiculous. He's one of those guys who, it's like, every year I feel like people get really excited about him, and then we see a couple of these, like, absurd, crazy high strikeout. Like, I think he had, like, a 13 strikeout start last year, and he can hit, like, 99 on the gun. But then it's just injuries always get in the way, and he's already dealt with some injuries this year, and it's just like, I would love to see even just like a 3-month stretch of Blake Wehunt just being healthy and just see what he can do. Patrick Hall. So I got a couple notes on Patrick Halligan because he went 2 appearances this week, 5 1/3, 2 hits, no runs, 3 walks, 10 strikeouts. So before last week, he had a 7.64 ERA, 3.16 batting average against, 1.92 whip. Over the last 2 weeks, he is 11 1/3 innings, 2 hits, no runs, 4 walks, 16 strikeouts. He's down to a 4.66 ERA, a 2.36 batting average against, and a 1.38 whip. So he's dropped the ERA almost 3 whole points. He's dropped the batting average against 0.8, and he's dropped the whip almost a full 0.6. So just, I mean, absolutely ridiculous. 2 weeks. He threw 6 hitless innings last week. Only gave up 1 walk, and then this week he gave up 2 hits over 5 1/3 innings. He had, like, he struck out like the first 6 batters of his first appearance this week. I mean, he's just been a different kind of animal lately. And it's like, you have to wonder if it was almost like, those are really bad numbers. I think he's 25 or 26 years old. And it's like, you have to wonder if he was kind of closing in on the Red Sox considering cutting him or DFAing him, getting rid of him in some fashion, development list, something. And he's had to have, at the very least, bought himself another month of time, because this has just been an absolutely absurd run by him.
Yeah, the overall pitching in Portland this week was just, I just want to list all the guys who didn't give up a run this week. So, Ianson, Cade Feeney had 2 innings of scoreless baseball. Halligan, obviously, 5 1/3. Holibet, 6 innings, no runs. Also didn't walk anyone. Shout out Holibet. Jennings and Paez, 3 innings with no runs. Also, 3 perfect innings. Dalton Rogers, another 3 innings, no hits, no runs. Although he did walk 1 guy. Reyes Sena, 3 innings, no hits, no runs. Blake Wehunt,
saves too.
Yeah, and then Blake Wehunt, 5 innings, no runs. And it's hilarious because you would think a guy who struck out 11 in 5 innings would be the most impressive start of the week. and he's maybe only the third most impressive of the week.
Yeah, that's fair.
On his own team. On his own team.
Yeah, that's got to piss him off.
And then also, I will just also add Cooper Adams. He did give up one unearned run, but no earned runs over 4 innings. So 9 pitchers who didn't give up an earned run, and 8 didn't give up any at all. And then that doesn't even include Hayden Mullins, 5 innings of only giving up 2 runs. Yeah, he walked a few guys, but he only gave up 1 hit in 5 innings. If I had to play Portland this week, I would I would be questioning myself if I was a hitter having to face Portland this week. Just good luck. Good freaking luck. Especially if everyone's on apparently they were this week. Just stupid. A stupidly absurd week from Portland's pitching. Is there anyone, Hunter, we want to specifically touch on? We're gone over the hour marker. We're just on Portland.
No, I think we're good.
All right, we're going to bump down to Greenville now. And I do want to start with Yoel Cespedes here. Just because it feels like we've mentioned it before, but it feels like we're really kind of getting, I guess you could say, a resurgence, but not really a resurgence, more so like him kind of breaking out and being what people were kind of hoping he was going to be coming out of the FCL. So if you don't remember, coming out of the FCL, Yoel Cespedes was higher ranked than Franklin Arias. And as we know happens, he ends up getting hurt. Arias basically leapfrogs him and then just takes off. Cespedes, last year in Salem, not a great year by the box score numbers, but he had 39 extra base hits, including 10 homers with Salem, which isn't the easiest thing to do, especially when you play half your games in that Salem ballpark. So far this year, he's hitting .314 with a .942 OPS, and he's got 14 doubles and 9 homers. He's already got 9 homers this year. He has struck out 46 times in 37 games. Not the biggest issue when you have a 20-year-old in the high A. You will see guys who strike out even more than that. So it's not a pressing concern. But then this week he goes 4 for 12 in the 3 games he plays, and he hits 2 homers. He also walked twice. And it feels like now we're starting to see the Yoel Cespedes that we were kind of hoping for. When someone someone comes out of the DSL and then the FCL with that much kind of, I don't want to say hype, but being ranked that highly by Sox prospects, there's very clearly a reason for that. And we didn't get to see it right away because of the injury. And then last year in Salem, overall, you look at 39 extra base hits is very good. But, and Salem does this to a lot of guys, by the box score numbers, not the best year. And yeah, he fell down the Sox prospects rankings. He's at 20 now, but before this year, he was outside the top 30. He was at 34 for them. But it feels like he's starting to kind of bump back into, okay, and you see he jumped up to 20th from 34 in their current rankings. He's going to jump up again when guys totally graduate. And in all honesty, you might see at some point this year, we're probably going to see someone like Samaniego graduate. It wouldn't shock me. And also, is Samaniego really a prospect? I mean, he is, but is he really? This guy's got big league experience. He's a 27-year-old reliever. Yes, don't get me wrong. He's still an important piece for the Red Sox right now, but prospect, Uberstein, obviously he's hurt, but like that's a guy at this point. Like he's also had his big league debut. Jake Bennett's had his big league debut, right? You start obviously told you, like I said, he's going to graduate. So kind of look at Cespedes, like there's a very good chance if he continues playing the way he has this year, and if he has more weeks like this week where he pump in 2 homers as well, he might be back to the Yoelan Cespedes being the top 10 prospect in the system.
Yeah.
And even if he's still in the top 15, because after this year, even if he's still only in like the top 15, like that's still very, like with how the system is right now, that's still very, very good. Right, like we mentioned, Andy Azakar might be getting moved up. Andy Azakar's not even in the top 10 right now, right? It's not a knock on Andy Azakar. That also kind of shows you how good the system is right now. It has been the last 2-3 years. Definitely the last 2 years. I don't know about our first year of doing the show. It wasn't as good then. But Cespedes definitely feels like he's kind of. I don't love the term right that I'm going to use of like breaking out of a shell, because it doesn't, but it feels like he's getting a better chance and a better hit in a ballpark that's more hitter friendly than Salem. It's not like Greenville is, the most hitter friendly in the world. It's definitely not, but it definitely helps compared to Salem. And it feels like Cespedes is very much taking to playing in Greenville and playing in high A, and it's been very, very impressive. And just to kind of add on to not just Cespedes, but just Greenville in general, they get to play Trashville next week.
There you go.
So it is in Greenville. I'm pretty sure.
Settle some beefs.
So, just a message to the Greenville Drive roster, if any of you guys are listening. I think if there's ever a week to have the best week of your life, might as well be now.
Dude, I swear, every time we're recording, someone decides, this is going to sound so insensitive, someone decides to have like a fire or something. There's always like fire trucks every single time.
Maybe they're having to cool down the absolute flames of the Red Sox system bringing.
We might have some movement, people. we might have some movement.
I like the sound of that.
Give me 2 seconds. Just talk for a couple seconds. Sorry.
Yeah. No, you're good. I will kind of also just not just as I was saying, I will kind of get into my head Godbound thing as well, because not the craziest week for him this week, but I did kind of mention I was going to bring it up. I said I mentioned in the past, but he's one of those bat first guys where it like you look back to Christian Campbell. Yeah, you enter the Red Sox bat speed program. You do the things that the Red Sox are looking for, and you really embrace it. And we saw the absurd leap that Christian Campbell took, and it feels in some ways that Godbout could be one of those guys. I know, like I said, didn't have the craziest weeks this week, but I definitely feel like he's a guy. He only had 1 hit this week. Okay, he played 3 games. He only played 3 games this week. That's fine. 1 hit. You look at it and go, it's not that great of a week. 1 for 9. Like, it can't be that great of a week. He still walked 4 times and had an on base over 400. Just finding a way to be productive. Obviously you don't want a guy hitting 111 every week, which he hasn't done. He's hitting 271 for the season. But part of the thing that makes Godbout so intriguing is the fact that, even in a bad week where he goes 1 for 9, he still walks 4 times and can reach base, where some guys, especially at that level, are, okay, you get 1 hit, and that's the only time you got on base all week. You went 0 for You could go an entire week, go 1 for 20, and you're not drawing any walks. And there we go. You're stuck. You're not getting.
Yeah.
You're done. You're not touching the base paths.
Yeah.
Godbout's different, and I
Um,
like that.
Yes. Sorry. It looks like Andy Azakar is being promoted to high A, and it looks like Luke Heyman is being promoted to high A.
Well, there we go. Those are a couple of fun ones. Yeah, the catching group in Greenville right now is this week. Adonis Guzman played 2 games. He did hit a homer. Ronnie Hernandez played 2 games. Gerardo Rodriguez played 2 games. And then is that it, or am I missing someone? I feel like I'm missing someone who's gonna bother me. Hudson White did play in a game, but yeah, so that's actually an interesting one with Luke Heyman because Greenville technically does have 4 catchers on their roster. They technically do. So interesting. That is an interesting one.
But one of them is Hudson White.
That is true.
He doesn't
But
really
also
play.
too,
I think he's only DH'd and pitched this year.
yeah, I think so. But it's still. But even then, you'd have 4 catchers.
Yeah, and I mean the other 3 do kind of play.
Yeah, they split 2 and 2 this
Yeah.
week, and they don't really have an open DH spot right now, because between Mason White, Godbout, and Cespedes, and even Jack Winay, right? There's 3 infield spots for 4 guys, and that doesn't you have Antonio Anderson and Fraley and Encarnacion as your first baseman, but you can't play all of Mason White, Jack Winay, Henry Godbout, and Yolan Cespedes unless one of them DHs.
Yeah.
So it's not really an open DH spot really either. Unlike, Portland where, yeah, you can DH one of the catchers. You can DH Johan Fran or Baez or any of the other guys.
But just quick note on Cespedes. Yeah, he's up to 9 home runs last year, hit 10 all of last year. So the power is kind of more of what we were expecting when he first got promoted to single A. And like you were saying with Sox prospects, how he's back up to 20. Kind of interesting how their big thing with him was, middle infielder who hits for power, and then they were kind of on everything else. And you can kind of see with he's hitting for average right now, and it's kind of because he hits the ball so hard. But there are the strikeout concerns. But he's looked athletic. I think he's looked really good in the infield, especially at second base. He's made a lot of really nice plays. But it's if the power plays, that's such a massive positive for, that's a massive positive for anyone, but for a middle infield prospect, for just to have power it makes for such a better middle. I guess a second baseman who can hit 25 home runs is such a big thing.
Good old Dan Ugla.
Yeah, that dude had a long career because of that.
Yes.
And
it's hilarious too, because Cespedes, he's smaller than Dan Ugla, but Ugla was only 5'11". Was never I think a lot of people think power hitting second baseman, and they think of some of the second basemen now that are, traditionally too big to play second base. And Cespedes is more traditionally sized for second base. He's 5'8", right? Second base is traditionally your short person position, and by short I mean short compared to third base, where traditionally you don't have your 5-foot-something guys like Caleb Durbin or Alex Bregman playing third. It's your 6'3", 6'4" guy was too big to play shortstop.
Yeah. And then, Greenville had a weird week because they had 3 days in a row that got rained out. So they only ended up playing, I think, 4 games this week. But Isaiah Jackson had a big week, 5 for 13, double, 2 homers. He's up to 242 on the year, 4 doubles, a triple, 6 homers. He's driven in 27 runs. He's stolen 2 bases. Came into the year kind of like as the big thing on him was defense and defense and pop. I could be wrong, but I felt like there was a little bit of an emphasis on defense and speed. And I mean, to be fair, he didn't have any steals last year, but he only played in 10 games. Obviously only 2 steals this year, but also, I mean, he does have 4 doubles and a triple. So like we're seeing speed on the base paths that way. But Greenville also, there was a large portion of the year where they just weren't stealing bases, and then randomly they started stealing bases. So I don't know if they stole a single base this week. They did not. They stole 0 bases this week. So like for a lot of the season, base stealing has not been a part of their game. I forget what series it was, but there was a series where the announcers, it was an away series. So it was like the other team announcers, and they were like, this team does not steal bases. Like they were like, the Greenville Drive have like 4 steals on the year, and it is like the 5th week of the season. Like this team does not steal bases. And then I think it was like Henry Godbout stole like a base, and they were like, oh my God, they stole a base. This is insane. So like, it's just like they have a couple guys who can steal a base or two. Like Justin Gonzalez could steal a couple bases, but it's not a big part of his game.
Also,
And
like,
you'd rather him not get hurt stealing a base. Yeah, exactly. So like, it could also be part of that where it's like, hey, Isaiah Jackson's an elite defender and he can hit homers. There's no need for him to steal a base. Like, if that's not like the biggest part of his game. So like,
and also too, like, Isaiah Jackson,
like to see him maybe steal a couple, sure, but if he's gonna, hit home runs and rob home runs, I'd rather see that, I guess.
I mean, well, prior to the ND Azekar bumping up to Greenville, you look at the outfield mix, and it like Justin Gonzalez, albeit he has now seen a game at first base, but like you don't really want to stick him in center field. Yes, you could play O'Ferry in center, but like he's done a very good job in the corners, and that doesn't mean you couldn't put him in center, but like you're not going to put him in center when you have Isaiah Jackson outside of like getting Isaiah Jackson experience in the corners and or getting O'Ferry experience in center. And it's a little bit similar thing with Tanner Uten as well. Like when he does play, it's very much like you're not going to put him in center field over Isaiah Jackson on the premise of him being a better defender than Isaiah Jackson, because Isaiah Jackson is the best defensive outfielder on the team. Nobody's a better defender out there than him, right? So it's one of those things where, like, also too, Isaiah Jackson, like, hypothetically, like, God forbid, gets hurt stealing a base, then they only have 3 outfielders on the roster, right? A little bit different now. ND Azakar's bumping up there. Like, we'll see what happens. But it is one of those things where, like, I think that probably also played a part. Also, too, their roster, with all the catchers, their only bench players that aren't catchers are Antonio Anderson and Nathaniel Uten, which I think has to probably play a role in the whole let's not steal bases thing, because God forbid X player is supposed to have an off day and such gets hurt running the bases. Who in the blue hell's going into the game? Like, I think that's the other thing. That's the other side of it. Who's going in?
I'm curious because you just mentioned that with everyone being catchers, and maybe there's going to be more movement. So like maybe I don't want to speculate, but like maybe Guzman or it probably won't be Rodriguez, but maybe like Guzman or Hernandez get promoted to AA. But I'm curious because it was something we talked about.
As if AA doesn't also have 4 catchers on the roster.
But it's something we talked about.
It's hilarious.
It's something we talked about in the season previews. I wonder if Luke Heyman is going to play first base in high A. He hasn't done it in single A at all, but like that was something he did in college. And it was something we speculated like, oh, if it was something I talked about a ton was if he starts the year in high A, I thought he was going to do it as a first baseman. And I said it if he starts the year in
Well, we just lost Hunter. I think the point Hunter was trying to make, I'm pretty sure the point Hunter was trying to make was that Luke Heyman, he was expecting Luke Heyman to play first base had he started the year in Greenville.
Yes.
But because he started in Salem, obviously he was going to catch more. Because also too, in Salem there wasn't as much of an opportunity to get game time as first base.
Yeah.
When he's also being, one of their catchers. Whereas you look at the Greenville roster, there isn't really a first baseman where you're like, ooh, we need to play them there. Like Franklin Arias and Antonio Anderson, or both of them are like, yeah, we can play them, but like, they don't need to play every day, do they? Yeah. Like, and also like we saw Justin Gonzalez get a game at first base, right? Like, I'm not saying they're going to continue to rotate him in there. I don't know if they are.
But since they did that, it kind of feels like they have to at least give him like a game a week, right? I can't imagine
or like
they
every
did that
other
once
week,
and then are going to be like, all right, we did it.
Maybe it's like a game a week or every other week.
Yeah, like
this week was a little bit weird though. Like you said, they only played 4 games, so I feel like in a week like that, you don't play him at first because you got to get other guys, games in. And the easiest way is to probably not play him at first base if you're only playing 4 games. Now, if you're playing 6 games a week, it's a little bit different. Albeit, if you're going to have Luke Heyman play some first, then it's also a little bit too, okay, is there a game for Justin Gonzalez at first? Maybe Gonzalez gets a game at first. Maybe Heyman gets 1 game at first. And then you split the other 4 between Antonio Anderson and Fraley Encarnacion, right? They very well could do that. I do wonder. It's so interesting, and part of the reason why, there's another reason why you can't take like high draft picks and high international signees, especially high international signees, is just like gospel. As they got a high signing. Fraley, it's so interesting because Antonio Anderson was a third round pick, and he signed for 1,500. Not 1,500, 1.5 million. Jeez Louise, my brain is gone. He signed for 1.5 million, and Fraley signed for 1.1 million as an international amateur free agent, and that combined $2.6 million is creating a first base kind of has created your first baseman for Greenville because they have no one else realistically because Justin Gonzalez is playing the outfield. It's very interesting.
Gonzalez and Andy Azakar playing in the outfield together again is going to be, that makes me excited.
Yes. Also, too, just to kind of, it's not just the defense in that outfield is only like, it's so funny because we talked about it at the beginning of, I think at the beginning of the year. You had Andy Azakar in Salem, then you have like Isaiah Jackson in Greenville, and then you have Nelly Taylor in Portland, right? Where you kind of, those 3 levels all had very good center fielders. And now we also, like, that doesn't mean there aren't other good defensive outfielders. Like, yeah, you have Miguel Blaze and you have Jorge Rodriguez, and like, you can kind of run down the rest of the, the guys in the system. But you look at that Greenville outfield now between Yo Ferry, Isaiah Jackson, Andy Azakar, Justin Gonzalez is going to get some games in the outfield, albeit, like you said, wouldn't shock me if we start seeing him at first base here and there. Also, too, part of the Justin Gonzalez at first base thing for me, the guy's a mammoth of a human being. Not saying he can't play the outfield, but like, it typically doesn't end up well. Just from a physical perspective, typically doesn't treat their bodies that well long term. So I'm not saying you have to play him at first base and never play him in the outfield. I'm just, saying be careful with him out there. Last thing we need is Justin Gonzalez to fall into a wall that like collapses on him and then hurts his toe.
Fair.
Or your team to be so incapable of finding a center fielder where you have to put the big guy in center field.
No, I don't think we need to worry about that.
I don't think the Red Sox will ever have to worry about that.
The Red Sox have Isaiah Jackson in High A. They have Nelly Taylor in Double A. They have Cedar Rafael in the majors. We're good. We're fine.
No, the Red Sox are good. I just think it's funny. Let's play Giancarlo. Let's get Giancarlo Stanton and Aaron Judge in the same outfield because two massive human beings in the outfield. What could go wrong? What could go wrong? A lot. Giancarlo Stanton apparently doesn't have any elbows. Just lol, no elbows. But no, Justin Gonzalez, can play the outfield. He's not like he's bad in the outfield by any means. But
no, it's one of those frustrating things where it's like I genuinely think his better technical defensive position will be first base, but the arm is just so ridiculous that it's like, man, it's such a waste to have him not throwing the ball.
Although, what does make me wonder? I'm not saying they should do this because they shouldn't do this, but I wonder if it's ran by anyone's mind of why don't we try him at third base? I'm not saying they should do it.
I feel like the footwork would be terrible at third base. I know, the arm would be hilarious, but
no, but I wonder if when he was in the FCL or something or whatever, if anyone decided to think, maybe we should try. I wonder if it ran through anyone's mind of I wonder if we can try him because how many guys go from playing first base to, oh yeah, we're gonna play him in the outfield, and we'll even play him in center field. It doesn't happen. I wonder if there was anyone in the Red Sox organization or that was just I wonder if this guy's got a strong arm. I wonder if we could try him at third. Obviously, it's not gonna happen, and it's not a bad thing that they never try that. I just wonder if anyone ever thought of the idea, because the only issue is that whenever he's turning a double play, he might take the second baseman's head off. Maybe that's why they just chose to not ever try him at third. Imagine turning a double play and you get Justin Gonzalez throwing the ball from third base to second base. Yeah, the second baseman might have a broken hand, or the first baseman even. I wonder if anyone ever thought of that idea.
Just two other quick offensive notes. Adonis Guzman 3 for 6 with a walk and a homer. Jack Winay 4 for 13, homer, 5 walks. He just continues to be awesome. But then, like I said, it was a very short week, so not a ton offensively because one, Greenville just didn't have the best offensive week, and they only played 4 games, so not a lot of ton. But also in the defense of some of the players that struggled, it's hard to get into a rhythm when you play 2 games or 3 games 2 games and then have, I think, 4 days off because 4 games get rained out in a row and then have to play 7 inning doubleheader on Sunday to try to squeeze 2 games in because 4 straight games got rained out. So just a miserable weather weekend wherever they were playing.
Imagine if they went all youth baseball style and just played all those games in one day. Okay, you know what? We're just going to play 4 5-inning games. That's it. That's all. All you need is don't technically you only need 5 innings for the game to count. I mean,
it's also the minor leagues. You could probably do 2 innings. No one's going to care. It's the minor leagues.
No, but you know what? Maybe I'll write to the offices of minor league baseball and be like, hey, if something like that ever happens again, just play 4 5-inning games. Why not? It'll be fun. Or if you don't want to play 4, if you play 3 5-inning games, you get 1 extra game in, and the only cost is 1 more inning. I mean, hey, someone hire me, okay? I've got some good ideas. 5-inning Triple header. There you go. Can't wait for someone to throw a no-hitter in a 5-inning game. Hey, Anthony Eisen just threw 5 no-hit innings.
That was one of my biggest issues when they were doing the 7-inning double headers in the majors. Is I was so terrified of someone throwing a perfect game or a no-hitter, and then it was
Well,
like,
would it count?
Yeah, like it was like, oh, and it was 100% going to be like Garrett Cole on the Yankees, and it would be like, cool. Now Garrett Cole gets to be like, I threw a no-hitter, and I'd have to be like, no, we're not doing this.
Although it wouldn't officially count because I think it has to be 9 innings for it to officially count. Because I think there was someone who threw like an 8-inning no-hitter where their team lost the game, so they didn't get to pitch in the bottom of the 9th. So they only pitched.
Oh, so it counts in name, but like in the record books, they don't count it. Okay,
they don't officially count it as a no-hitter. So like
that, I guess.
Which that is a weird, but like in the minor leagues, they still count 7-inning. No, I mean it's the minor leagues, so it doesn't really matter as much. But you know,
I always think it's funny whenever there's a like a 7-inning no-hitter or like a no-hitter, like a combined no-hitter in the minors, and people are like, oh, it was a combined no-hitter, it doesn't count. And I'm like, buddy, it's the minor league, like it's a single A game. Who
cares? Let them have fun.
You think this 18-year-old is going to throw 120 pitches in single A? Come on, man. Like he's out after 30 pitches. Come on.
Yeah.
Like, of course it's not a one-person no-hitter. What are we doing?
Like,
there's no such thing as a one-person no-hitter in single A. It's not happening.
Didn't someone? Who was it who almost threw a no-hitter for the Blue Sox last year?
I know this. I swear I just saw it. I swear I just saw like the tweet because I was like looking something up, and I had to do this thing on the website I use for my articles, and oh my God, who was it? Oh, this is gonna piss me off. Why'd you have to bring it up? I have the worst memory, man.
I'm
30. I'm about to be 33. That's upsetting in a couple hours. What's it gonna be like when I'm 70, man?
Don't know.
It's gonna be bad.
I have a horrific memory too, man. I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm
2025. Was it? I don't think it was Robert Stock.
Was it Drohan? Or was it? I feel like it was a left. I don't know why. I feel like it was a lefty.
I don't think it was Sam.
Or was it Was it a Giolito game that he started and then someone piggybacked him?
Was it?
I don't know. I'm just throwing things out there because I feel like it was earlier in the season.
Sandlin didn't Sandlin throw like a 7-inning no-hitter in Double A?
Yeah, that sounds about right.
But obviously that's not Worcester. But was it Richard Fitz? It was Richard Fitz.
Oh no, it definitely was.
I think he got into like the 7th inning.
I think it might have been the 8th inning. I thought it was like the 8th inning. I'm not gonna look this up. Was it? I thought it was Fitz, but I don't. No, Fitz last year wasn't at the big. Unless it was 24, and I'm losing my mind. No, it was 24, and it was Fitz. He went. It was in 24 when Fitz did it because it was against Charlotte, and I'm pretty sure he went into the 8th inning with a no-hitter, but he didn't get an out in the 8th. Yeah, he went into the 8th with the no-hitter. Also, funny enough, Dahlbeck homered in that game for the Blue Sox.
That was, dude. We were probably like, dude, Richard Fitz, man, this is the guy.
Fitz so he got through 7. Oh, Colson Montgomery was the leadoff hitter for Charlotte that game. Lou Bob was hitting 3rd on a rehab assignment. And then Oscar Colas was hitting 4. Oh my gosh. Girl, Chase Mydroff was hitting leadoff. Oscar Colas broke it up. Oh, I remember he broke it up in the bottom of the 8th with a single, and they took Fitz out. And because Fitz only threw 82 pitches. So Fitz legitimately, had Fitz legitimately thrown a no-hitter, he would have had a chance on the pitch count to get it. Because that Colas at bat was 2 pitches, so he was at 80 pitches through 7 innings. And what ended up happening was they brought in Lucas Luetge, who walked 2 guys, and then there was he got Chucky Robinson to fly out. He struck out Zach DeLoach. Then he walked 2 guys, including Jared Walsh, funnily enough. And then there was a throwing error, which then allowed 2 runs to score, and then Colson Montgomery got out.
I need the laptop fixed.
Yeah, then Bailey Horn pitched the 9th and got the save.
Hell yeah, dude. Names. I love names.
So yeah, it was Fitz 24. It was what was the exact day? It was May 29th. Almost 2 years ago.
Yeah.
It was 2024 though.
He's only made 3 starts this year in AAA for the Cardinals, but he has been really good. He hasn't pitched since April 9th, but he has a 1.76 ERA in 15 1/3 innings.
It's so funny how the Cardinals just have gotten so many former Red Sox because of all the trades that the 2 teams have made.
Nobody else wants to trade with Craig, and nobody else wants to trade with Heim. I guess maybe
it's literally. I guess. Well, it's also funny with Craig and Heim, and then also the Sox trading with the Nationals with Taboni there.
Taboni
trading with Pittsburgh and Charrington.
Yeah.
I
mean, that, to be fair, we make fun of Craig and we make the jokes, but it's that is kind of just how baseball works. Is it's all about relationships, and it's who you've traded with in the past. That kind of is how every team operates. It's oh, I have a relationship with this guy, and I know this guy's not going to screw me over, and this team's not going to screw. And it's it's kind of how it works. And
I'm shocked he hasn't made a trade with the Cubs.
Yeah,
that's also the biggest one.
Does anyone really know how that relationship ended?
Maybe
they didn't end on good terms that we know of, or
that's always true. And
but I know he didn't have a great start, but I also wouldn't be shocked if Craig still considers that he wants to buy, but I would be shocked if the Cubs didn't want to trade for Sonny Gray. They need a starting pitcher so bad. And it's the Red Sox are bad. Sonny Gray is available, or should be available. He's a good starting pitcher.
Yeah,
too expensive. Give us a semi-decent prospect for him.
I'm still shocked that we're oh, let's go get Jojo Romero. They have lefties right now, but that was the one that I think Jordan was on it as well. But that was one where I was I'm shocked that didn't happen. But the Cardinals also have Dustin May. He's been ass outside of his 1 start against the Red Sox. Yeah. Thanks a lot. And then obviously just Blaze Jordan's over there. Blaze Jordan's been good. Did you see the Buster Olney tweet?
I don't think so. I'm assuming it was.
Oh my God. Oh Lord.
Is it from today?
I think it might have been yesterday. Looking for it right now. Oh my god, why is he? All right, this is from yesterday. You ready for this one? It says So there's two tweets. The first one was the Red Sox are looking for a right-handed hitter, but as rival execs, it's a really tough fix to make it on the fly. There are very few options available for a legit right-handed hitter this early unless you're willing to overpay, and assuming it's a second baseman or third baseman, then the front office will have to wave the white flag to some degree with Durbin, who is such an important part of the front office vision. So we lost Hunter, so I'll reread it again.
Yep.
It said, the Red Sox are looking for a right-handed hitter, but as rival execs know, it's a really tough fix to make it on the fly. There are very few options available for a legit right-handed hitter this early unless you're willing to overpay and assume second baseman or third. And assuming it's a second baseman or third baseman, then the front office will have to wave the flag to some degree with Durbin, important part of the front office vision. And then the next tweet was, the Red Sox are in the market for a right-handed hitter with thump. Last year, they gave up Blaze Jordan, a former third-round pick, for 2 months of Steven Matz. Jordan, 23, has a class AAA slash line of 317, 378, 537 so far this year, with 8 homers, 14 walks, 20 strikeouts. Chaim Bloom knew the player. What are we doing? What are we doing, Buster?
My big takeaway from that is calling it class AAA is the most old head thing I've ever heard. Class AAA.
Yes.
But yeah, also, that is the most rage bait tweet I've ever heard. Like
also, what do you? The Cardinals didn't even protect him for the Rule 5 draft.
Yeah.
Didn't even protect him. Like the Red Sox, had they wanted Blaze Jordan that badly, would have brought him back as a Rule 5 pick. Like, also, as much as I love Blaze Jordan, where in God's green earth would he play on this Red Sox team? He's not playing first base. He's not going to DH because when everyone's healthy, like, no chance. If Masataka Yoshida can't DH, Blaze Jordan ain't DHing. And I love me some Blaze Jordan, but not happening. He ain't playing third base. This Red Sox team, it's all about pitching and defense, apparently. As much as I love Blaze Jordan, he's not playing third base on a pitching and defense team. So, like, also Steven Matz was good down the stretch for the Red Sox last year.
Yeah, he was. Like, it was a win. It was a win now move. They just didn't win now, but it wasn't his fault. It wasn't Matz's fault.
Also, Steven Matz was good enough down the stretch where he was able to sign a free agent deal with the Rays so he could be a starting pitcher again. Like, I mean, has he been great? No, but like he's got 370 ERA over 8 starts. Like, it's not bad. Like, overall, like crap on the Red Sox for anything. You know, that is like what are we doing here?
Yeah, I'm a huge Blaze Jordan guy. But like I saw I think it was like Sox South, great account. Like tweeted at someone the other day because they were like they went on this whole tirade of like this whole like Craig Breslow they did this whole like Craig Breslow doesn't get enough crap for how he ruined the franchise, and it was like this whole rant about trading Blaze Jordan, and they were like, man, this is like for the 9,000 things that Craig Breslow has done wrong, this should be like number 8,000 on your list. Like yes, Blaze Jordan has been very good.
I'd argue it's not even wrong.
Blaze Jordan was very good last year before getting traded, but like,
yeah,
he's done a lot.
I would literally argue it's not a wrong move. Well, also, like, here's the thing. Like, especially when you look at it now, the Red Sox got Wilson Contreras. But also, too, like, in some ways, yeah, you trade away Blaze Jordan, but you're also doing the player a solid because he's going to an organization that believes in him. And in some ways, like, you are giving him a legitimate chance to make the big leagues with the Cardinals. With the Red Sox, it never really felt, because even, you know, yeah, you don't know the Red Sox are trading for winners, but there was always still that hope of, oh, well, yeah, Tristan Costas got hurt, but, like, you know, hopefully he'll be healthy for 2026. Obviously, that hasn't been the case yet, which I just hope for Tristan Costas he's going to be able to play in the big leagues at some point in the future. And obviously, Blaze Jordan, like, Alec Burleson's having a great year for the Cardinals. So, like, and Ivan Herrera is their DH. So, like, yeah, he is kind of blocked in that sense, but, like, he's in a better situation for him to potentially get playing time because, like, Alec Burleson, like, I'm not saying he's going to get traded, but he's a 27-year-old that'll have 2 years of control after this year. Like, what are the Cardinals going to do in the next 2 years? Like, I don't know, right? Like, very well could be a trade possibility. So, like, when you start kind of looking, have been good this year. They're 29 and 23. I don't know if you can expect them to keep that up the rest of the year, especially considering the Cubs are only a game behind them and the Reds are only a game and a half. That entire division's over 500, which is also kind of funny because the American League, like, no one's over 500 in the American League except for, like, the Yankees, Rays, and maybe one other team.
Yeah. No, I think it's just those two.
The American League sucks.
Yeah, because the Red
Cleveland,
Sox are just ahead of the Blue Jays and Orioles.
It's Cleveland.
Oh, you said, yeah, okay, yeah, sorry.
Yeah, the Rays, Yankees, and Cleveland are the three teams. Yeah. The A's are now also one game over 500. They're 27 and 26, but that doesn't really count. You're basically 500. Same thing with the White Sox. You're basically 500. 27 and 26. You're basically 500. It's also funny.
Someone say it the other day. It's really sad that the Red Sox traded for Garrett Crochet in, like, a clear, this is the Red Sox trading to win now, and this is the White Sox, like, resetting their franchise. And a year later, the White Sox have already leapfrogged the Red Sox. In, like,
yeah, but, like, man, the Red Sox
I know technically, like, the Red Sox are still in, like, a better spot. Like looking at it objectively, they're still in a better spot. But it's just like, if you're just strictly standings watching, it's like, oh, White Sox are better.
I mean, it does help for the White Sox that, like, their top 5 hitters have all been, like, good this year.
Yeah.
Like, Sam Antonacci has been...
They're, like, also just, like, objectively a fun team to watch. Like, they have Murakami just being like, I'm going to hit a homer every game. And, like...
They have Colson Montgomery. Chase Benintendi still sucks, but, you know, it is what it is.
Yeah, but he's good looking. He's got that going for him. It's a good looking dude. Murakami's got great hair.
Good for him. Hey. Oh, back to my Red Sox MLB The Show franchise. Yeah, Murakami's my first baseman. I had to. I had to. You know, I couldn't pass up on it. And he was on the last year of his. He was going into the last year of his 3-year deal, and the White Sox had just only won, like, 60-something games, and
Fair.
why not?
Yeah, you got to make the moves.
It's also hilarious how I had Murakami and Casas both at 50 homers. Can I just back to Casas real, like, for the millisecond I talk? Can he just like, whatever happens, I just want to see him on a baseball field.
Dude, like, it's sad, man. It's sad because
it's not even, like, everyone, the people trying to tell me he's injury prone too, or like, it's like, or the people trying to say he's injury prone. It's like, the guy had two injuries that could have legitimately happened to anyone.
Yeah, but, like, he did.
Doesn't help.
To be fair, he did also have injuries in the minors, and true, like, it was like something that followed him. But It's
Oh,
just
no,
it's
definitely.
upsetting because there's people that will legitimately tell you like he was never gonna be good, and it's like you can't even argue with them because in my opinion, a healthy Tristan Casas is a 35 home run hitter, but it's like there's no proof of it. Like I can't dispute that because there's no proof of it. So
Well,
it's
your
like
proof
you
would
can't.
be like the 2024 stretch.
Yeah, but like that's
But
all you can
the
cling
issue
to is
is that,
half of a season, and it's like
yeah. Well, I mean, even if you count that whole season, it was still a good season overall.
yeah,
And
but
you could make the argument that
it's
like he
one
was
good. It's just like I just
true.
want to see him healthy, man. It's just upsetting to see like a very
I think
clearly
the bigger
talented
issue is the foot in the
player
mouth.
not get to be healthy.
Yeah, the bigger issue is the bad taste in the mouth of the early like 2025 left for people
Yeah.
or something.
Uh,
Which it is what it is. I will like I just want to see him play baseball again at some point. Those two injuries, like those are like yeah, him being a massive human being, definitely does not help at all. But like Aaron Judge is a massive human being, and I'm not saying that it could happen. But, like legitimately could have happened to anyone. It could have happened to Aaron Judge. Like Judge is a massive human being. He swings the bat really hard. Like good. Like, and that's the thing with Costas to have two back-to-back injuries
yeah.
that literally could have happened to anyone, and just so they both just so have to end up happening to him. And it seemed like he still never fully got over the. I don't even know if we can call it a rib injury at this point. Just it seems like it was more than just a rib injury, but I don't know. I just want to see him on a baseball field. It's sad. Um, it's funny how we've diverged from the plot of Greenville.
We do that a lot.
We do, but I think we do need to talk about Kyson Witherspoon.
Yes, this was a big performance for him. He needed this.
Yeah, so I'll just real quick go over the numbers on Witherspoon's start. So, 4 and 1/3 innings, 2 hits, just the 1 run, which unfortunately didn't come off a homer. But 6 strikeouts, 2 walks, and I think as Matt tweeted, I think it was 19 whiffs, which even in his starts that weren't so good, he was still getting a lot of whiffs.
Yes, which is what we talked about. He always makes hitters look bad even when he doesn't have his best stuff.
Yeah, but this start was definitely different. Like,
yeah,
and it wasn't like dominant to the point of like, oh, you like. That, but and I think for Witherspoon to have this start, especially now after by the box score, a not good start to the season, right? By the traditional numbers, but you could kind of see the flashes of like the swing and miss stuff, like you mentioned, Hunter. This was definitely a start in the right direction. How do you feel, Hunter, about his start this week, and him going forward after this start?
Yeah, this was maybe his best start, maybe his second best start of the year. He had another one, 4 innings, 3 hits, 2 runs, but only 1 was earned. He didn't walk anyone that time out, which is maybe the only reason you could argue it was better. Also 6 strikeouts, but and that was back on April 10th. This one though, like it was the least amount of hits he's given up, or tied for the least amount of hits he's given up. It was the least amount of runs he's given up. It was tied for the most amount of strikeouts. The home run came to the last batter he faced. And it was just like he looked in command the whole time. He rarely got into trouble. He picked a guy off. Like there were so many at bats where it was just like obviously like with 19 whiffs, just creating a lot of bad swings. And it's just like this is again, it's one of those things. And obviously, this is a different case where like the numbers match the dominance. But it's just another case where it's like you can't always just look at the stats, and it's what we've talked about with him a lot, where we've said, like, just because the numbers aren't great doesn't mean there aren't positives to take from it. And it's like, again, the overall numbers aren't great. 6.46 ERA, 2.74 batting average against, 160 whip on the season. But it's like, you look at this and it's like, you can see the very clear upside. And it's just, these are the kind of starts where it's like, okay, here's something to build off of. And now it's just, you hope he can go back out there next time and just go out there and give you another 4 innings of 1-run ball. That's all you ask for. And the good thing about Kyson Witherspoon is, outside of really just like his first start and his April 30th start, there really haven't been like a ton of bad starts. Like 4 innings, 2 runs, 4 1/3, 3 runs, 4 2/3, 4 runs. That's not great, but it's like, okay, 4 innings, 3 runs. It's not like he's going out there and going like 2 innings, 6 runs, 1 inning, 5 runs, and then like, oh, 5 innings, no runs. Like it's not like he's deviating between really good start, god awful start, elite start, absolute garbage start. It's kind of like these in between, we'll see him look really good for a couple innings and then have like a shaky inning where he gives up a couple runs and things kind of fall apart. And he just kind of like didn't hit that this time out. And it's just nice to be able to come out to come on the show for a week and not have to say there were the good things and let's just focus on those. It's like, no, man, it was all good this week. He was creating the whiffs. He was throwing high heat. He was burying sliders low and away. He had the swagger on the mound. Everything was working for him, and it was great to see. And this is what made him such a steal at 15. And this is why when he fell to 15, everybody was like, "Oh my God, how did the Red Sox get him here?" The second he fell to 15, everybody was like, "This is already the steal of the draft. That's incredible." And that's why there were some fans panicking, but no one even though some fans were panicking, you didn't hear any panic from any like pundits or any like the Sox prospects guys weren't panicking. The national media wasn't panicking. Nobody was like, "Oh, there's something terrible's going on." It was just like, all right, it's a slow start. It's 25. It's what we've been saying is he's 25 now. He's 30 innings into his career, and it's like, it's a slow start. It happens, and he'll be fine. Kyson Witherspoon looked just about as good as you could hope for. And I'm willing to bet we're going to see a lot more really positive starts like that from him moving forward. But he wasn't the only one that had a good start this week. Alex Bouchard. So, like I mentioned earlier, Greenville had a really weird week where they only played 4 games this week because they had a ton of rainouts. And then on Sunday, they played a doubleheader. Witherspoon started the first game. Bouchard started the second. Alex Bouchard pitched 5 1/3, 1 hit, 2 runs, 2 walks, 5 strikeouts. He has just some like genuinely filthy stuff. The fastball has ticked up a ton this year. He can now like touch 98. He did like his breaking stuff has just a ton of movement to it. So he's just a very exciting prospect at the moment. Like he's someone I feel like by midseason is going to get talked about so much more than he's getting talked about right now. And then the other big pitcher this week was Ben Hansen, who 4 1/3, 3 hits, 1 run, no walks, and then a career high 9 strikeouts, which is just phenomenal. I don't remember, and I'm kind of mad because I looked it up yesterday and I definitely should have just written it down. But I'm pretty sure his career high before that was 5, which he set literally the outing before that. No, okay. So his season high before that was 5, which he set the outing before that. His career high before that was 6, which he set July 30th of last year. So yeah, just an awesome start from Ben Hansen. But yeah, so those were like the 3 big starts of the week for Greenville.
I'm assuming you covered everything good.
Yes. Yes, I talked about Jason Witherspoon, Alex Bouchard, Ben Hansen.
Perfect. That actually works out perfectly. I feel like we should probably bump to Salem. We're running a little bit short on time. We're at the 2-hour mark. So let's head to Salem. Obviously, I think we have to start with Andy Azakar, obviously. Promoted. Makes the most sense to start there. This week he had 6 hits and 21 at-bats, 3 doubles, a triple. Definitely deserving of the promotion, I feel. It's one of those things where starting promotion season, it feels like Andy Azakar moving up feels like the right start to promotion season, I guess. Obviously, I know they announced Luis Andujar first, technically, but Andy Azakar was kind of also announced first, depending on how you look at it, by Brian Abraham. So Azakar, I think, is a good start for the promotions, kind of kicking off. And he's someone that it's going to be very interesting for him. I think that he's someone where you kind of, we've always kind of said, oh, like a guy in Salem, don't look at the box score numbers necessarily because Salem's not a hitter park, and a lot of guys that go from Salem to Greenville, their box score numbers jump a little bit. But it's not like Andy Hazakar's had bad box score numbers in Salem. So if we're looking at him, the box score numbers haven't been bad, but like also everything else that we've heard has been good, and the kind of under the hood numbers apparently have been good as well. Like, what is it going to look like in Greenville? That's what I'm the most interested in. Yes, there's going to be a bump up in competition. Will there be an adjustment period? Potentially, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. Definitely interested to see what happens when him bumping up to Greenville. Hunter, you have any thoughts on Azakar kind of bumping up to Greenville or just his week this week?
Yeah. It's very unsurprising. We talked about just like the absurd run Azakar was on last week and just kind of like the year as a whole. He kind of slowed down towards the end of the week. But even with like I think he went on like a 0 for like 10 slump towards the end of the week, and then he snapped it with an RBI triple. But I think it was like an 0 for 10 over like a technical 3-game stretch at one point. But 6 for 21 on the week, 3 doubles, the triple. And it's just like you said, like we always talk about Salem, like you can't look too much into hitters' numbers. And it's like, and then you look at Andy Azakar and it's like, you would guess he was playing his games in Portland, like, because it's just like, my God, those numbers are insane. And you would also not assume that this is a 19-year-old who's played, 60 games in Salem or in single A or whatever it is, because it's just like this guy's absurd. We talked about him a ton last week, so I don't want to take up too much time, but like he really does just seem to have every tool, and it's like maybe nothing is like an A++ tool. Like maybe he's not a 35 home run hitter or a 330 batting average guy or a 30 stolen base guy or gold glove defense or whatever. But it's like, this is someone who could hit 280 and hit 20 homers and steal 15 bases or 20. Actually, I will say the speed is something where it's like he could be a 25 to 30 steal guy. And he could play and he could maybe win a gold glove. Like, it's just like everything he does is so good. It's like, so maybe there's not like that crazy elite carrying tool, but it's like everything is above average and there's no glaring weakness in his game. And it's just like, it's I don't want to compare him to like Anthony Ianson in the sense of, because I feel like that's what I've said with Anthony Ianson before, where it's like there's no weakness. Where with where with a lot of pitchers, it's like, oh, with Peyton Tolley, it was like, oh, there's no secondary pitch. Or with a lot of pitchers, it's usually like, oh my God, they can't find the strike zone. And with Anthony Ianson, it's like he doesn't walk people, and his secondary pitches are insane, and he throws, all of a sudden he can hit 100 on his fastball. Like there was nothing wrong with his game. With Azekar, it's kind of the same, where it's like there's no real negative to his game. Now there's no crazy absurd positive, but there's no absolute negative, and it's like it's hard to see him going to high A and just falling off a cliff, and that excites me. Like I can see him going to Greenville, and again, like he'll be playing in more of a hitter's park, so I could see him going to Greenville, and like the pitching competition will challenge him a little bit more. So like there might be some struggles there. Maybe the strikeout numbers will tick up a little bit. But like I think the power numbers could creep up a little bit. And he's also, I think, going to benefit a lot from just the protection around him. No offense to the Salem lineup. There are some good pieces in there. Stanley Tucker has been phenomenal for them. Starlin Nunez is really good, but it's like now he's going to be hitting with, barring any other promotions, who knows what else is happening, but like he's got Henry Godbout, he's got Justin Gonzalez, he has Yoelan Cespedes, like he has absurd, but he has Yoferi Rodriguez hits like ninth for them 90% of the time, and that dude has 10 home runs. Like that lineup is bananas. And it's like he's got such good protection that like I feel like it's going to make just it's going to help mask maybe those like early adjustment struggles for him. So I think it's going to be a very exciting week for Andy Azekar. And like you said, they're playing Trashville this week. So I'm assuming it's in Greenville. Do you know?
Yes, it is in Greenville.
Okay, because I was going to say, I know they played in Asheville last time. So he won't get to play in the small ballpark, which is a little upsetting. But because
although
we definitely would have gotten a ton.
It would be hilarious if they were playing there, though.
But still, well, it'll be very exciting to get to see him hit. Maybe he'll get to go apartment hunting this week. That'll be fun. But yeah, just very well deserved, unsurprising, and it's just the Red Sox seem to always find an elite outfield prospect. I don't know who is doing this, but they never seem to fail with their outfield prospects.
Yeah, they're kind of, it's so weird because, and I think I mentioned this last week, but like we were like, it was all this, oh, the Red Sox don't have outfield prospects, blah, 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 blah. They, and they traded, well, obviously, like I mentioned last week, you do the crochet time 10 times out of 10 with Brady Montgomery involved, but like, they got Tibbs, and then they traded him, and then they traded Earhart in that trade too, which I think is obviously might even be the bigger loss potentially. Also kind of pissed me off because, I kind of called that the Red Sox were picking him and ruined my fun. But yeah, no, there's been a very quick turnaround of that kind of view on the outfield prospects in the system. It would be nice to see some of them start really kind of creeping up really into like AA and into AAA. Like, I know Alan Castro's in AAA, but like it's the first time he's seen AAA pitching in his entire life, right? Like, and yeah, he's had his struggles, which is to be expected, but and like, yeah, in AA you have Blaze, you have Nelly Taylor, but like the real kind of crown jewels of the system, outfield wise, are Justin Gonzalez and Andy Azekar, who they'll both be in Greenville and they'll get their time. They'll be in Portland and Worcester and in due time, right? Like we're not just gonna say, oh, they're immediately gonna be they're not just immediately gonna make their way. to Worcester immediately at the snap of a finger, but they'll have their time. But they're definitely kind of the crown jewels, especially now that they're playing together. Greenville, it'll be fun, but it is interesting how like that, I guess, narrative in some ways that the Red Sox don't really have outfield prospects. They're logged. They got all the they traded away Stinson, right? They got all these outfielders in the big leagues, but well, what about the minor leagues? They got none, and that's flipped on a head, right? It's very interesting how that's just flipped itself on its head. It's like, oh no, there are some decent guys. Oh, they got some pretty decent guys. Oh, hello, Justin Gonzalez. Oh, hello, Andy Azekar. Right? I think that's a very interesting how that's kind of really changed. Even in the last couple months, kind of like before spring training started, and then to now, that narrative has really shifted. You did mention Stanley Tucker. He had a homer this week. Avinson Pinto had a homer and 4 walks this week as well. But I do want to just jump to the pitching side quickly because Leighton Finley had 5 innings of no-run ball with 6 strikeouts. And I feel like Jose Bayo had 5 2/3 innings. And he did give up 1 unearned run, but no runs. He only struck out 3, but he's kind of he is the last piece of that Rafael Devers trade that is with the Red Sox org. Albeit, if you want to kind of get into, trade trees and whatnot. Like,
no, let's just pretend he's the last piece because I'd rather him be the last piece than say it's him and Caleb Durbin.
Well, no, it's not just Caleb Durbin. They got 3 pieces back in that trade. They got Monasterio. They got Sealer.
That's fair.
Fair. So I mean, technically, you could argue. Albeit, yeah, David Hamilton also did go in that trade too. But you get the point still stands. But Bayo's the last person that they got from the Giants that's left in that trade. So, it's nice to see him pitch, have a good start. It is a little bit funny, just also too adding the fact that his last name is Bayo, and the Red Sox have Brian Bayo, and he actually it's funny. Jose Bayo is interesting. He doesn't strike a lot of people out, and he's got a 2.82 ERA this year. 7 games, 4 starts. I don't know how I feel about Jose Bayo. I don't want to go too deep in on it, but he's one of those guys where he could either be graded like single A and maybe low A, and then he struggles once he gets to the higher minors, or it just works, right? It just works, and we kind of have. You could say we've kind of dabbled around it at times with certain pitchers of, oh, well, they don't strike a lot of guys out. And, one of those guys in some sense was Jennings Paez, right? Oh, well, he doesn't strike a ton of people out. He doesn't walk people, but, is the swing and miss stuff really going to be there? And you look at Paez and, we're still yet to find out how he does in the higher minors. He's in Portland this year. I mean, he struck out 10 in 10 innings, but he still only walked 1, right? And I wonder with Jose Bayo, for some, I guess I'll use Cooper Criswell as a good example of it. Criswell doesn't strike out a ton of people. I mean, doesn't throw hard either, but Criswell doesn't strike out a lot of people, but it works for him.
Yeah.
The guy also Cooper Criswell also made one of the biggest starts for the Red Sox in 2025. And he did for some guys, they make careers off of, they don't strike a lot of people out, but they're efficient.
Yeah.
And it's hard to tell with Jose Bayo because he's in Salem, right? The level of competition isn't super high, and it's hard to tell. It's hard to get a read on him, right?
Yeah, I would like to see them be. Don't get me wrong. I get it. You'd rather be smart with prospects, but I would like to see them be aggressive with him. I'd rather them be smart with him. I get that. But there's part of me that wants them to be aggressive with
You
him
want to see it at a
because
higher
of
level.
what they traded for him. So it's like, let's see what we got. like it's
He's also interesting
Coley,
too because
Coley
it's worked
has
at every level so far for him.
yeah,
But they're all low levels.
yeah, and Coley talked about this a ton on Section 10 with Kyle Harrison. Was he would always say he wanted him in the majors because the Red Sox traded Rafael Devers for him. So why not see what he can do in the majors? Like, hey, we traded a franchise player, one of the a premier Red Sox player. Everybody loves him. He hit 30 homers a year. He drove in 100 runs every year. Let's see what he can do for the Red Sox. And the Red Sox barely gave him a chance in the majors. And you could argue, they didn't like what they saw, whatever it was. He wasn't making the adjustments they wanted. And then he goes over to the Brewers and it's like, oh, dude has a 1.6 ERA and he's striking out 11 people and it's like, maybe he wouldn't be doing that here. Maybe they made the adjustments, but it's like, I would like to see them be a little more aggressive with Bayo and be like, hey, let's get you to high A. Let's maybe tweak this, and this, and let's see if we can get the strikeout numbers a little bit. And maybe it leads to a couple more walks or it leads to him giving up a couple, but it's like they tweaked some things with Paez and it led to more strikeouts and it hasn't hurt his other numbers. Like he did come into 2 years ago with the strikeout numbers getting boosted a little bit. And then last year, the strikeout numbers got boosted even more. And it's like, maybe they can get that going with Bayo. So I would like to see that happen. And he's been good this year. So
yeah, he has. It's just it's weird it's hard to get a read on him because, like, for example, we're not going to see you can watch the games and see the quality of contact, but even then, it's not like it's hard to tell. Like, it's good to have the actual numbers. I guess is more so and the way to put it.
Dude, the camera angle this week for the games, I can't think of who they were playing. Dude, the camera angle was miserable. It was just like this,
low
behind it was like the third baseline behind home plate, weird, and it was just like that was the only camera angle, and I was like, this is ass. Like, what am I supposed to do with this?
Yeah, it's also too the thing too, like you said, also not having because you could see a guy, the guy hits the guy could hit a ball that you think looks hard on TV or on your laptop or wherever you're watching the game. He might have only hit it like 85 miles an hour, but it looked hard.
Yeah.
Right? So that also too, sometimes too, especially with fly balls too, you can get camera tricked. We've seen it how many times with the Red Sox?
Literally just the other day, that Willie Abreu fly ball that everyone thought was a homer.
That's made it. And I don't blame the camera person because they kept the ball and shot, and in some ways it was just a ball that was hit really high, but it made it look like the ball was gonna go 50 million feet.
Yeah,
and it didn't go 50 million feet, right? And so sometimes you can kind of get tricked in that way. So that's the one kind of downside, especially all the way down in low A, where we're definitely not getting any of those numbers. Definitely not. So it's kind of hard to judge. Other than that, I know we're kind of closing in on kind of our time here. We do have to talk about Jake Bennett quickly.
I just want to back to the hitter side very quickly. I know you mentioned Stanley Tucker. I do just want to say 5 for 11, the double, the homer, a steal. I know he just got promoted to high A earlier in the year because of a numbers thing. Like they had injuries and promotions and stuff. And it was always going to be a short thing. They need to get him back to high A though, man. He's hitting 333. He's barely striking out in single A. It's I get it. He's not the high priority, but it's just, there's nothing for him in single A. And it's just, there's no point to him being there. I think he would be a very useful piece in high A because he can play every single position. He'd be a good bench guy. And then Gideon Cervani made his single A debut went 2 for 6 with a double, 2 RBIs, and a steal. Andrew Zapata, 2 for 18, not a great week. He did have a homer, he stole 2 bases. He's up to, I think, 21 steals now. And then Skylar King, 2 for 13. But he did have 4 steals. He's up to 15 steals now. So we were talking about how Greenville does not steal bases. Single A steals a ton of bases. Andy Azakar is one of those people who can steal bases. So he'll be bringing some of those steals to high A. And then there's a bunch of people who, if they do get promoted, could also bring some steals to high A at some point. Now I'm good.
Yeah, definitely. Now we're going to move on to Jake Bennett. He had an 11 strikeout performance, which was very out of character for him.
Yes.
I've always kind of, when you kind of comp him to like for example, Tolley starting the year in AAA, Bennett was always more of a pure pitcher, right? More of a pure pitcher in the sense of like mixes is a little bit kind of similar to like the early versus Tolley like comparisons where like, but like Bennett's more of like a pure pitcher, mixes his pitches, is it as whereas Tolley, if all else fails, has that elite fastball that he can always fall back on. Where, let's say Tolley, his cutter's not working today. Okay, cool. Here's my fastball that I can throw 70% of the time for this start because, I can because I have it in my back pocket. Obviously in AAA, yeah, you're not going to. You're going to work on some things. But like when you bring it to the big leagues, for example, Tolley, if all else fails, has the fastball that he can just throw at any time, and it's disgusting. Bennett doesn't have that, but that 11 strikeout performance is, like I said, out of character, but it is a very good thing to see. Hunter, what do you have on Bennett's start this week? How do you feel about Bennett? Obviously, got a little run in the big leagues, but is back down in Worcester now.
It's just such a weird start for him. Didn't walk anybody, which is not the weird part. Like that's a very Jake Bennett thing. It was good to see because his last AAA appearance was not great, and I was worried of him falling into this thing that I don't want to say happens often, but I feel like it is kind of like this trap that sometimes happens to guys that go from like they get promoted and then they get sent back down. And it's like, then they kind of struggle to find their identity again in AAA, where they all of a sudden are like getting hit when they usually don't get hit around. And I was like, crap, Jake Bennett was so good to start the year. And now is he all of a sudden gonna suck in AAA? And it's like, maybe he's trying too hard or something to get promoted again. And like 7 hits in 5 innings, not great. But again, didn't walk anybody. Like you said, 11 strikeouts, very surprising to see. But I mean, the big thing was the fastball was up. He was throwing like 96, which is what we were seeing in like spring training. That was like everybody was all jacked up. It was like, okay, this is why they brought him in. Like big lefty, crazy extension. Like this is what they saw from him that they didn't like about Paralysis. Paralysis is an undersized righty who doesn't have great extension. Like, yeah, he throws hard, but Jake, like Paralysis is a thrower and Bennett's a pitcher, and they can make him go from 92 to 100 like they did with Tolley, and that really hasn't happened. And like when he got to spring training, his velo was up and people were very excited about it. And then when the regular season had, like, even by mid spring training, the velo was kind of back down and people were like the hype on him went from very excited. Like a lot of people were like, Jake Bennett's the guy. Like it went from people being super pissed because everybody loved Luis Paralysis to everybody being like, never mind, Jake Bennett's the freaking man, to everybody being super low on Jake Bennett again, to everybody kind of liking Jake Bennett because he had a pretty solid outing in the majors, to like everybody like to, and now it's like, I don't really know how everybody feels about Jake Bennett. So this was a good start. It was cool to see like Baseball America tweeted out his performance and they were like potential top 100 prospect. And that makes me happy because Baseball America, I always say how like, oh, don't trust the I'm very big on like not trusting like the ESPN top 100, the MLB pipeline top. Baseball America is like the one national news outlet where I'm like, more you can trust these guys because it's like their whole identity. Like obviously you could argue like MLB pipeline, obviously that's their whole identity, but it's still also just like it's just MLB and they just are still just like, oh, MLB pipeline. So it's like to me, I like Baseball America gets my love. So to have them say that, I feel like maybe got Red Sox fans a little bit more excited about Jake Bennett again. But so like it was a weird mixed bag where it was like, yeah, he's giving up hits, but to see him get the swing and miss, to see him rack up 11 strikeouts, to see the fastball velo be up, this had to be the most exciting start. And to see it come after, again, maybe not the most exciting major league appearances, but like good enough major league appearances. And now it's like, all right, we've seen him perform admirably in the majors. And now we've seen him go back down to the minors and do this and show the velo up. And now it's like, okay, can you put those two together? Can you come back to the majors at some point with 96, 97 in your back pocket and get the swing and miss? And it's like, if you can have the command and be throwing 96 and be locating, it's like that's a guy who can be giving you 6-7 innings of one run ball. And it's like, that's somebody people can get really excited about.
What'd you just say? How many innings? Dude?
No, don't.
Oh, no.
I was at my nephew's birthday party yesterday, and some kid showed up. We were playing Quates, which nobody is going to know what that is because it's a Lehigh Valley thing. Alex Bouchard might know. Shout out Alex Bouchard. And Matt McShane might know too because I'm pretty sure he was born in Bethlehem. But some little kid showed up and he was like, who owns it? I'm not kidding. This kid's like 10 years old. And he asked me who owns the house. And I was like, who the hell are you? Why are you asking me this question? You're like 10 years old. And he goes, my mom's the head of the HOA. And I was like, all right, dude. And finally, like
great story from Hunter as we lost Hunter again. That is a fun one. Good job, Hunter. Great story. Hunter will be back. I guess I will take over this until Hunter joins. Great story from him. I'm super interested in seeing how it ended. We all love some Hunter stories. I will just really, really quickly, while bump back on the Jake Bennett thing. The Red Sox do have 4 lefties kind of in their big league rotation long term between Garrett Crochet, Ranger Suarez, Peyton Tolley, and Connolly Early. But all of them pitch differently, I guess is probably the best way to put it. Crochet, I guess, and Tolley are kind of somewhat similar, and Early and Suarez a little bit. Not totally, though. But they all pitch differently. Although they're all throwing from the same side, they're all different. And Bennett is also kind of different from all of them as well. So you could argue, oh, Bennett's a lefty. Like, they already have 4 lefties. But it's not like you have all these lefties are clones of each other and they're not all throwing the exact same pitch mix. They're not all throwing from the same arm slot. They're all different. So I think that is kind of another thing with Bennett to kind of pay attention to. Obviously, Sonny Gray is not necessarily locked in after the season. I know Brian May is under his extension. He's had a rough year so far, but we'll see what happens. Obviously, he's locked in under contract. But when you kind of look at just the lefties, them having a lot of lefties is not as big of an issue, especially even with Bennett, just because of the difference. We are going to come back in a sec. I'm going to wait for Hunter to join back up, and we'll be back, and we'll see if he finishes his story. All right, I am back. Hunter, unfortunately, is having internet issues and connection issues. Good thing, though, we are close to the end. We will have to ask Hunter for the story next week. We'll have to ask him there. Just kind of continuing the point I was making on Jake Bennett. Very good start for him this week. We hope to see more. I will also bring up how Tayron Guerrero is now spelled Tyron Guerrero. Apparently, they just have had it wrong his entire career, and it's now fixed, funnily enough. But he had been really, really good all year, and Worcester is now with the big league team. And then the other person is Tommy Canely. I guess if we're going to kind of discuss Worcester. Canely, yes, big league experience. He's been good with Worcester in terms of ERA. He has allowed a decent amount of base runners. This week he pitched innings. He pitched 2 innings, and I think it was 2 innings. I don't have the stats right in front of me, so you're gonna have to trust me on this one. You're gonna have to trust me. But it's I'm pretty sure it was 2 innings. I think he walked 2 and gave up a hit. So yeah, three base runners in 2 innings. Not the best, but he also too has never been he's got a career 123 whip in the big leagues, so it's interesting. But I don't know where there's the most spot for him on the Red Sox right now. Danny Colum is back. Obviously, the move for that was Tyler Samaniego, and Zach Kelly was also sent down to make room for Tyron Guerrero. Now, Ryan Watson's still around, but he was a Rule 5 pick, and there is a little bit there where you can kind of argue, well, he's the mop-up guy, you're down by like 5 or whatnot, you can bring Ryan Watson in to eat innings. Not bad to have, and in all honesty, if you were to bring up someone like a Canely, for example, yes, you also have to make a 40-man spot, but the other thing is you don't really have a mop-up guy. If you bring up, unless it's going to be Tyler Guerrero, he doesn't really feel mop-up guy. He doesn't really feel like a mop-up guy. So, in some ways, Ryan Watson actually isn't. He was actually in a relatively. It feels like Ryan Watson's in a relatively safe spot right now, because if they need someone to go out and throw 2 innings out of the bullpen, or even 3, potentially, depending on when he actually. If you look at this past weekend, Saturday, Sunday, he threw 40 pitches between the 2 games. He very well could potentially be you could potentially throw him in for like 3 innings, whereas like a Tommy Canely, you're not going to do that. He's going to be 1 inning max, and you kind of lose a mop-up guy there. So I do believe that I do believe that the Red Sox probably aren't going with Canely anytime soon. But yeah, there's a ton of experience there. We've seen how good he's been in the past in the big leagues. I just don't know where the fit is, personally. So there's that. But that's pretty much it. We're going to wrap it up. Unfortunately, Hunter, like I said, internet issues. He's not going to be able to come back on. So we unfortunately don't have a traditional farm system frenzy. But I will leave this one out for anyone who's still listening. Can anyone figure out what Red Sox player has hit the most home runs in a season with the Portland Sea Dogs since we started doing this show? It originally was going to be like top 5 or top 3, but Hunter's not here. So who has hit the most homers in a season for the Portland Sea Dogs since we started the show in 2023? So you have the 2023, 2024, 2025, and 2026 seasons. Yes, you could look the answer up, but that's not in the spirit of the show. Let's hear some names. And with that, we're going to wrap it up. For Hunter, who is, I guess, shadow banned from this episode because of his internet, my name is Derek. As always, thanks for tuning into the Pesky Report, and we will see you next time.
Like, this is called the Pesky Report. Like,